We chatted for a few more minutes, but the smiles on my husband and mother-in-law's faces slowly disappeared. "Laura, are you okay?" my husband asked, his tone shifting. "What?" I replied, caught off guard. "Never mind," I added quickly, brushing it off. But I could sense my husband's impatience. It felt like he was up to something. Just then, my mother-in-law abruptly stood up, clutching her stomach. "Ouch! Oh no," she exclaimed, rushing to the bathroom. "Mom, what's happening? Are you okay?" my husband called out, alarmed. "Why is my stomach hurting so much?" "This can't be. Laura, did you switch the tea?" she demanded. "I did," I admitted. "I switched it with your mother." "Why on earth would you do that?" My husband cut me off. "What's the problem if I did?" I retorted. "My name is Laura. I'm a 30-year-old office worker, and I've been married to my husband Joshua for 2 years. We met through work. He joined the company mid-career from a client I was managing. At first, he struggled to adjust to the new environment, but the next time I saw him, he had adapted remarkably well. I thought he was a clever man. As we spent more time together, we grew closer, going on dates and sharing meals. Eventually, he confessed his feelings, and we began dating officially. Our relationship progressed smoothly, and soon after, he proposed and we got married. In the beginning, our newlywed life felt perfect. Joshua isn't much of a cook, so I took charge of the kitchen, while he handled the cleaning and laundry. He even took out the trash without needing to be asked, something I really appreciated. But lately, something has changed in him. His attitude toward me has shifted. He used to follow me everywhere, craving my attention like a puppy. I often had to remind him to be patient, but now, that eagerness has vanished. The sweet tone he once used has been replaced with a distant coolness. "What's for dinner?" he asked one evening, his voice devoid of enthusiasm. "Hamburgers, your favorite," I replied. "Okay," was all he said, barely acknowledging my effort. It stung. I'd gone out of my way to make something he loves, and yet his reaction was so indifferent. He used to be so affectionate. I wonder if he'll ever be that way with me again. It's not just Joshua that's been troubling me. My mother-in-law has been a source of stress since the start of our marriage. "Laura, why didn't you prepare any snacks?" she once complained. "I'm sorry, but you dropped by unannounced," I explained. "Still, you should always be prepared," she snapped back, always finding fault with me. No, that can't be. Up until recently, my husband had always defended me, standing up to my mother-in-law whenever she criticized me. But now, he started to join her in picking on me. "I really don't think Laura is considerate, do you?" he asked her one day. "It's a wife's duty to always be prepared when my mother comes over," she chimed in. "If you keep this up, you never know when I might leave you," he added, threatening divorce in a way that felt so unlike him. His change in behavior left me feeling hurt and confused. I still wanted to believe in him, but sadness weighed heavily on me. Then, one weekend, something strange happened. My mother-in-law came to visit, bringing with her an expensive-looking tea and some sweets. She seemed unusually cheerful as she offered them to me. "I went out of my way to find the finest tea today. Let's enjoy it together," she said with an unusually warm smile. There was something off about her sudden kindness, but I couldn't quite figure out what. My husband then offered to make the tea himself, which was odd given that he'd been so demanding of me lately. "Thank you, Mother. I'll make the tea today," he said, surprising me. Usually, he would have ordered me to hurry up and prepare the table for his mother. So why was he being so nice today? I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling growing inside me. He handed me a cup of tea with a grin, and my mother-in-law leaned in to inhale its aroma. "Wow, it smells amazing," she said, her nose almost touching the cup. I hesitated and sniffed my tea. It smelled like regular tea, but something seemed off. There were tiny bubbles floating on the surface, definitely not normal. This isn't right, I thought. I shouldn't drink this, but what can I do? How can I swap this tea without them noticing? Then an idea struck me. "Mother-in-law, your favorite Korean singer was on a music show the other night. I recorded it for you if you'd like to watch." Her eyes lit up. "Oh, really? I'd love to see it. I'll watch it right away." As she reached for the remote control, I turned to my husband. "Didn't you prepare any snacks? You made the tea, but forgot the snacks." He bristled at the suggestion. He hated being told he overlooked something. "I was just about to do that," he muttered, heading to the kitchen to grab plates and snacks. Seizing the opportunity, I quickly swapped my tea with my mother-in-law's. They returned to the table, none the wiser. "Well, let's enjoy this fine tea, shall we?" my mother-in-law said, lifting her cup. "Yes, it's a special one," my husband added. They both sipped their tea, eyes fixed on me as I cautiously tasted mine. "It definitely has a different flavor," I remarked. My husband and mother-in-law exchanged knowing grins. "I know, right? It's unique," she said, laughing. "Yeah, it's delicious," my husband added, their laughter filling the room. They seemed so pleased with themselves, clearly expecting a reaction from me. I could only think, they must have put something in this tea. But I smiled and said, "Yes, it's very good," before finishing my cup. Their grins remained, but as the minutes passed, their smiles began to wane. "Laura, are you feeling okay?" my husband asked, his tone more urgent now. "What?" I responded, feigning ignorance. "Nothing, never mind," I said, watching his impatience grow. He must have planned something, but then suddenly my mother-in-law shot up from her seat, clutching her stomach. "Ouch! Oh," she cried out, rushing to the bathroom. "Mom, what's wrong?" "Why is my stomach hurting so much?" "Oh no, no way," my husband stammered, panic creeping into his voice. "Laura, you didn't switch the tea, did you?" "I switched mine with your mother's," I said, watching the color drain from my husband's face. "What? Why would you do that?" he asked, panic evident in his voice. "Why not? Was there something wrong with the tea you served me? Does that mean you put something harmful in it?" He stammered, "No, it's just that." "Tell me the truth, or you won't be able to handle what's happening to your mother right now. This could be serious." Realizing he had no other choice, he confessed, "I put a large amount of powdered laxative in your tea." My eyes widened in shock. "Are you out of your mind? Of course, she have an upset stomach, and in large quantities it could be dangerous, even fatal." His face turned ashen. "Really? Oh no, call an ambulance." Without hesitation, I dialed emergency services, and soon my mother-in-law was being rushed to the hospital, my husband frantic as he followed her out the door. Once they were gone, I took the tea he had laced with laxatives and carefully poured it into a water bottle. I knew I needed to keep it as evidence. "I'll take this to the police and file a report," I decided. While my husband and mother-in-law were at the hospital, I packed up my belongings, knowing it was time to leave this toxic situation behind. I called my parents and asked them to help me move my belongings. Once everything was packed up, I headed to their house. Shortly after arriving, my phone rang. It was my husband. "My mom's in bad shape," he began, his voice strained. "She has to stay in the hospital for a few days, so I need you to bring her a change of clothes and some other things, okay?" I was stunned by his request. "What? Are you serious? I'm not doing that." "Hey, you can't just refuse. My mom's in trouble. You're my wife. You should at least do that." "I can't do this anymore," I said firmly. "I'm divorcing you." He was silent for a moment before responding, "Divorce? I see. If you're insisting on a divorce, then I guess I have no choice. But since you're the one asking for it, don't expect a share of our property." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "What are you talking about?" "This is on you. You're the reason I'm filing for divorce, and I'll take what's rightfully mine." "Don't be ridiculous. You won't get a dime from me. The divorce was your idea. This isn't my fault." His words made my skin crawl. "You're delusional. You tried to force me to drink a cup of laxative tea. How can you possibly think you're not at fault?" I wanted to remind him that I had solid evidence against him, but before I could say anything, he abruptly hung up. "Fine. I thought I have plenty to do, like finding a lawyer. I'll deal with him later." In the days that followed, my husband bombarded me with messages, demanding to know why I'd taken all my belongings and accusing me of abandoning the house. He even complained that the place was falling apart without me to do the chores. "Didn't you say you wanted a divorce?" I texted back. "You'll have to take care of the house on your own once it's finalized." I had so many things I wanted to say to him, but I held back until I had secured a lawyer. Then, not long after my mother-in-law was discharged from a hospital, my husband and his parents showed up at my parents' house. Their expressions were grim. "Divorce is out of the question," my husband announced arrogantly, "but I'll comply if I must. You didn't even visit my mom in the hospital after what happened, and then you just left, taking all your things. How can I stay married to someone like that?" My mother-in-law shot me a nasty look, and it was clear they only told their side of the story to my father-in-law, who seemed to believe them. Laura, my father-in-law began, I think you're being a little selfish. I almost laughed at the irony. My father-in-law was the only sane person in that family, and I knew he would see things differently if he heard the whole story. I took out my phone and played an audio clip for everyone to hear. I had actually planted a large amount of powdered laxative in Laura's tea, my husband's voice confessed. The room fell silent as the gravity of the evidence sank in. My husband and mother-in-law's faces drained of color, their earlier bravado evaporating. How did that conversation come about? My husband stammered, realizing he had unwittingly sealed his own fate. Father, I began, turning to my father-in-law. I felt I was in danger. I quickly switched my tea with my mother-in-law's. Moments later, she started suffering from stomach pains. She has always bullied me, and though Joshua used to defend me, recently, they've been gaining up on me. This time, he crossed the line. My father-in-law's face turned crimson with anger as he glared at my husband and mother-in-law. Joshua, what's going on? Were you really bullying her too? Caught off guard, they both struggled to explain themselves. No, wait, Dad, it was just a joke, my husband stammered. Laura wasn't feeling well, so I thought it'd be funny to mess with her tea. It was just a harmless prank. I wasn't bullying her. And I was just playing around, my mother-in-law chimed in. It wasn't bullying. My father-in-law wasn't buying it. Whether you think it's a joke or not, this kind of behavior is unacceptable. Do you really think you can get away with this? I took a deep breath, knowing I had one more card to play. This explains why Joshua's been so terrible to me, I said, reaching into my bag and pulling out an envelope. I spread its contents, photographs, across the table. My husband's face turned even paler as he recognized the images. Did you think I wouldn't find out? I continued, my voice steady. Your behavior was so suspicious that I hired a private investigator. I didn't want to believe you were having an affair, but the evidence speaks for itself. You were probably hoping to push me into asking for a divorce first, weren't you? My husband was sweating now, visibly shaken. He knew I had him cornered. I reached into my bag once more and produced the divorce papers, placing them in front of him. No matter how foolish you are, you must realize that in this situation you have no advantage. Sign these, and maybe we can avoid making this even messier. He stared at the papers, his hands trembling, as the reality of his situation finally set in. Of course, I'll be seeking alimony, and I expect a fair share of the property. And just so you know, I'll be reporting you for assault for planting the laxative, I said, my voice steady. My husband's eyes widened in panic. The police? Wait, don't you feel any sympathy for Joshua? Sympathy? For what? I retorted. It's not just Joshua who's at fault. You're just as guilty, mother-in-law. He was working with you. Wait a minute. Why should I be arrested? It was Joshua who put the laxative in the tea, she protested. Mom, you were part of the scheme. Don't try to shift the blame entirely onto him. What? You think I helped because you found a new potential husband, she shot back. As my husband and mother-in-law began arguing, neither willing to take responsibility, my father-in-law finally had enough. Enough, he bellowed. You both committed a crime. Take responsibility for your actions, and Joshua, you need to own up to the affair. You're to pay Laura the alimony she deserves, and she will get her share of the property. The force of my father-in-law's anger left my husband and mother-in-law stunned. I was relieved he stepped in because my own father was on the verge of losing his temper as well. Let's handle the rest through the lawyers, I said. Get these divorce papers signed immediately. My husband hesitated, but after another round of yelling from my father-in-law, he begrudgingly signed the documents. I'm truly sorry for the trouble my son and my wife have caused you, my father-in-law said, offering his apology as he took my husband and mother-in-law home. With the divorce finalized, I moved forward with my legal actions. I filed for alimony against my ex-husband and his affair partner, receiving $30,000 from each. I also reported my ex-husband and mother-in-law for assault, submitting the audio recording and the tea as evidence. Both were arrested and fined. In an unexpected turn, my ex-father-in-law, repulsed by the chaos caused by my ex-mother-in-law, asked for a divorce from her. She ended up having to fend for herself, working part-time at a low-paying job to cover the fines. As for my ex-husband, his affair partner was furious with him for lying and causing so much trouble. After a heated confrontation, she demanded alimony. He ended up borrowing money from a consumer loan to pay her off in one lump sum. Soon after, she disappeared, leaving him with a massive debt. In the end, my ex-husband found himself abandoned by both me and his affair partner, burdened with debt and facing the consequences of his actions. It was a fitting outcome for his betrayal. On the bright side, I achieved what I set out to do. I secured my fair share of the property and am now living comfortably on my own in a new apartment. I've been working hard and recently received a well-deserved promotion. To celebrate, I'm planning a trip with friends or perhaps with my parents. It's important to remember that intentionally poisoning someone's tea with laxatives is a serious crime, not a prank. My husband and mother-in-law's actions were far from harmless, and they deserve to face the consequences for their actions. Thankfully, my father-in-law proved to be a decent person who understood my situation, which was a small comfort amidst the chaos. Despite the disaster that unfolded, I'm hopeful for the future. I'm looking forward to finding someone who truly appreciates and respects me. For now, I'm focusing on enjoying my newfound independence and the positive changes in my life.
The legal document slipped from between the pages of my old college textbook like a ghost from another life. I'd been packing up my studio apartment, again, when I found it wedged in Constitutional Law, Principles and Policies, a book I'd never gotten to finish reading because I dropped out to work double shifts at the diner. My name is Iris, and I'm 31 years old. 5 years ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I believed my family actually loved me. "Iris, honey, you're so good with money," Mom had said, her voice dripping with that fake sweetness she reserved for asking favors. "Serena got into law school. Can you believe it? Our baby is going to be a lawyer." I should have seen the trap coming. Should have noticed how Dad suddenly started calling me practical and reliable instead of just ignoring me completely. Should have questioned why they were all so interested in my savings account for the first time in my life. But I didn't. I was 26 and desperate for their approval. "Of course I'll help," I'd said, like an idiot. "Family comes first." The document in my hands was titled Gift of Education Agreement, all official looking with legal letterhead and everything. I remembered signing it, remembered thinking I was being so smart, so careful. Xavier, the lawyer I'd hired, had explained every clause. "This protects you," he'd said. "If she doesn't acknowledge your contribution publicly within 30 days of graduation, the gift converts to a loan, full amount plus interest." I'd laughed then. She's my sister. Of course she'll thank me. God, I was naive. My phone buzzed. A text from Serena. "Graduation party is Saturday. Black tie. Try to look presentable for once. Don't embarrass us." I stared at the message, then at the legal document, then back at the message. 5 years of working 60-hour weeks. 5 years of eating ramen while she posted Instagram stories from fancy restaurants. 5 years of watching her spend my money on designer clothes while I wore the same 3 outfits to work. The invitation to her graduation party was still stuck to my refrigerator. Thick cardstock with gold embossing that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. "Celebrating Serena's achievement," it read. Not our achievement, not the family's achievement, just hers. I pulled out my phone and called Delilah, my best friend since high school and the only person who'd consistently told me I was being used. "Please tell me you're not going to that party," she said instead of hello. "I have to go. She's my sister. She's a parasite. There's a difference." I walked to my kitchen window and looked out at the parking lot where my beat-up Honda used to sit before I sold it to pay for Serena's textbooks. Now I took the bus everywhere, while she drove the BMW Dad bought her for doing so well in school. "Remember last Christmas," Delilah continued, "when your mom introduced Serena to her book club as our pride and joy, and you as our dependable one? Like you're a kitchen appliance? I did remember. I'd been standing right there, holding the tray of cookies I'd baked for the party, and Mom had patted my shoulder like I was a golden retriever. She's graduating law school because of me, I said quietly. And has she thanked you? Ever? Even once? I thought about it. Really thought about it. In 5 years, Serena had never acknowledged my sacrifice. Not when I gave up my apartment to move somewhere cheaper. Not when I sold my car. Not when I took a second job cleaning offices at night. She just kept taking, kept expecting, kept treating my money like it was her birthright. The agreement, I whispered, looking at the document again. What agreement? I made her sign something before I paid the first tuition bill. It says if she doesn't publicly acknowledge my contribution within 30 days of graduation, the money becomes a loan. Delilah was quiet for a long moment. Iris, please tell me you're not thinking what I think you're thinking. I read the clause again, clear as day, legally binding, witnessed and notarized. She'll thank me at the party, I said. She has to. But even as I said it, I knew she wouldn't. Serena had never thanked me for anything in her entire life. Why would she start now? The legal document felt heavier in my hands, like it was made of lead instead of paper. Outside my window, a BMW just like Serena's pulled into the parking lot. Saturday couldn't come fast enough. The memory hit me like a slap as I stared at the agreement. 3 years ago, sitting in Xavier's cramped office above the pizza place on 5th Street. You sure about this? Xavier had asked, adjusting his glasses. Family contracts get messy. She's my sister. She'll understand I'm just protecting myself. Famous last words. I'd driven straight to Serena's apartment after leaving the lawyer's office. She was sprawled on her couch, the one I'd helped her buy, painting her nails some ridiculous shade of pink. What's this? She'd asked, barely glancing at the papers. Just a formality, for the tuition money. Sign here. She'd rolled her eyes. Iris, you're so paranoid. It's a gift, remember? From your loving sister to mine. Just sign it, Serena. She'd scrawled her signature without reading a single line. There. Happy now? Can you Venmo me that money for books? I'm meeting Robbie for dinner and I need a new dress. I should have known then. Should have seen how carelessly she treated everything I gave her. Now, sitting at my desk at the insurance office where I'd worked for the past 3 years, I pulled out my phone and called Delilah. You're obsessing over that contract again, aren't you? She said. It's airtight, right? You read it? Honey, I'm a paralegal, not a lawyer. But yes, it looks solid. The question is whether you can actually go through with it. I glanced around the office. My coworkers were busy with their own calls, but I lowered my voice anyway. She texted me again this morning, told me to wear something appropriate to the party, like I'm some embarrassing relative she has to tolerate. Which is exactly how she sees you. I paid for everything, Delilah. Everything. Her tuition, her books, her rent for the first 2 years. I even paid for her bar exam prep course. I know. She's never said thank you. Not once. I know that too. My computer pinged with an email. Another insurance claim to process. Another day of mind-numbing work while my sister prepared to start her career at one of the city's most prestigious law firms. What if I'm wrong? I asked. What if she surprises me at the party? Delilah laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. When has Serena ever surprised you with kindness? I thought about it. Really thought about it. The answer was never. I have to go, I said. My boss is coming. But as I hung up, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. The contract had slipped partially out of my purse, and Janet from accounting was staring at it with obvious curiosity. Legal documents? She asked, with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I shoved the papers back into my bag. Just some old paperwork. Looked official. Everything okay? Fine. Everything's fine. But Janet kept watching me for the rest of the day, and I couldn't shake the feeling that she'd seen more than she was letting on. That evening, my phone rang. Serena. Iris, I'm so excited for Saturday. Mom got her hair done specially, and Dad bought a new suit. We're all going to look so good in the photos. Great. Oh, and I have amazing news. Robbie's parents are coming to the party. His dad is a partner at Morrison & Associates. Can you believe it? I'm going to be rubbing shoulders with real power players. Congratulations. You sound weird. Are you okay? I stared at the agreement spread out on my kitchen table. I'm fine, just tired. Well, get some rest, and remember what I said about dressing appropriately. This is important for my career. Your career that I paid for. The words slipped out before I could stop them. Silence on the other end. Then, what's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Forget it. No, what did you mean by that? You make it sound like I owe you something. My heart pounded. Don't you? Iris, you gave me that money as a gift. A gift. You can't hold it over my head forever. I'm not holding anything over your head. Good, because that would be really pathetic. I mean, it's not like you were using the money for anything important anyway. You don't have any real ambitions. The line went dead. I sat there holding my phone, staring at the contract. 30 days after graduation. That was the deadline. Saturday was graduation day. The countdown had officially begun. The ballroom at the Grandview Hotel looked like something out of a magazine. Crystal chandeliers, white roses everywhere, and a champagne fountain that probably cost more than my monthly rent. I stood near the entrance in my one decent black dress, watching my family work the room like they owned it. Iris! Mom rushed over, her smile bright and fake. You made it! You look... nice. The pause before nice said everything. Where's Serena? Oh, she's holding court by the champagne fountain. Everyone wants to congratulate her. The Hendersons are here, and the Blackwells, and oh, Judge Morrison came with his son Robbie. Can you believe it? I could see Serena across the room, radiant in a designer dress that cost more than I made in a month. She was laughing at something Robbie said, her hand on his arm, playing the perfect future lawyer's wife. She looks happy, I said. She deserves this moment. All those years of hard work finally paying off. All those years. Right. Dad appeared beside us, straightening his new tie. Iris, good to see you. Hi, Dad. Serena's been telling everyone about her job offer. Starting salary is more than I made my first 10 years as an engineer. That's great. Course, she's always been the ambitious one. Takes after her mother. He glanced at me. You've got your own strengths, though. Very practical. There was that word again. Practical. Like I was a piece of furniture. I'm going to get some air, I said. Don't wander off too far, Mom called after me. We're doing family photos in an hour. I made it to the hotel's garden before my phone buzzed. A text from Valila. How's the circus? I typed back. Exactly what you'd expect. Are you sure you can go through with it? I stared at the message. Through the glass doors, I could see Serena surrounded by admirers, basking in praise for achievements she never could have reached without me. Iris? I turned. Robbie was walking toward me, champagne glass in hand. Hey, Robbie. Congratulations on the engagement. Thanks. Beautiful party, isn't it? Your parents really went all out. They did. He joined me at the garden railing. Serena's been telling me about how supportive you've been through law school. Really generous of you to help out. My heart skipped. She said that? Well, not in so many words, but I can tell she appreciates having such a, what did she call it? A reliable sister. Reliable. Not generous, not sacrificing. Reliable. What exactly did she say about me? Robbie shifted uncomfortably. Oh, you know, just that you're very grounded, practical. She said you've always been happy with simple things. Simple things? Yeah, like how you don't need much to be content. She admires that about you, says she could never live such a modest lifestyle. The words hit like physical blows. She said that? I hope I'm not speaking out of turn. I just think it's nice how different you two are. She's got these big dreams, and you're more down to earth. I wanted to scream. Wanted to tell him that I'd had dreams too, before I gave them up to pay for his fiancé's big dreams. Instead, I smiled. That's very sweet of her to say. She's lucky to have you. Not everyone would be so understanding about, well, you know. About what? About how things worked out, with her getting all the opportunities and you being, well, you. Before I could respond, Serena appeared in the doorway. There you are, she called to Robbie. Judge Morrison wants to meet you. And Iris, Mom's looking for you. Something about photos. As Robbie headed inside, Serena lingered. What were you two talking about? Just congratulating him on the engagement. Good. I hope you weren't being weird. This is important, Iris. These people are my future colleagues. I understand. Do you? Because sometimes I worry you don't get how big this is for me. For our family. We're finally going to be somebody. We? Well, I am, and that reflects well on everyone. She headed back inside, leaving me alone in the garden. I pulled out my phone and took a photo of the party invitation I'd kept in my purse. Evidence of this moment, this conversation. Then I walked back into the ballroom where my sister was about to give her graduation speech, the speech that would determine everything. The champagne glass clinked against the microphone as Serena tapped it for attention. The ballroom fell silent, all eyes on my sister as she stood radiant under the chandelier. Thank you all for being here tonight, she began, her voice carrying that confident tone she'd perfected in law school. This moment means everything to me. I stood at the back of the room, my hands clenched at my sides. When I started this journey 5 years ago, I wasn't sure I could do it. Law school is brutal, the competition is fierce, but I had something that kept me going, the unwavering support of my family. My breath caught. This was it. This was where she'd mentioned me. My parents, Victoria and Walter, gave me the freedom to pursue my dreams. They never once made me worry about money or practical concerns. They told me to focus on my studies and they'd handle everything else. Wait, what? Dad always said, Serena, you're destined for greatness. Don't let anything hold you back. And Mom... Serena's voice cracked with emotion. Mom sacrificed so much to make sure I had every opportunity. She worked extra hours, saved every penny, all so I could have this moment. The room erupted in applause. I felt like I was drowning. I also want to thank my amazing fiancé, Robbie, who believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. And of course, my sister Iris, who, here it comes, I thought, finally, who reminds me every day how lucky I am to escape a life of mediocrity. Iris, you've shown me what happens when someone settles for less, and that's been incredibly motivating. Laughter rippled through the crowd, actual laughter, at my expense. Seriously though, Iris has always been content with her simple life, and I admire that about her. Not everyone can dream big, and that's okay. Someone has to be practical, right? Louder this time. So here's to freedom, here's to success, and here's to never settling for a life that's less than extraordinary. The crowd cheered, glasses clinked, people rushed to congratulate her. I stood frozen, watching my sister bask in praise for achievements I'd made possible, while she painted me as a cautionary tale. Excuse me, I mumbled, pushing through the crowd toward the bathroom. I locked myself in a stall and pulled out my phone with shaking hands. The contract was still in my purse. I photographed the program from the party, evidence of the date and event. Then I texted Xavier. Activate clause. Effective immediately. Iris? A voice called from outside the stall. Honey, are you okay? I recognized the voice. Mrs. Henderson, one of Mom's book club friends. I'm fine, I managed. That was quite a speech, wasn't it? Your sister is so accomplished. Yes, she is. You know, I was just talking to your mother about you. She said you're such a cautionary tale. How someone can just give up on their dreams and settle for an ordinary life. It's actually quite sad. My hands stopped shaking. Something cold and sharp settled in my chest. She said that? Oh yes, she was telling the Blackwells how grateful she is that Serena didn't turn out like you. No offense, dear. I'm sure you're perfectly happy with your situation. I opened the stall door. Mrs. Henderson was touching up her lipstick in the mirror. What exactly did my mother say about my situation? Well, you know, how you never really amounted to much, how you're still single at 31, working that little job at the insurance office. She said it's a good reminder for Serena of what happens when you don't apply yourself. I see. But don't feel bad, dear. Not everyone can be exceptional. The world needs ordinary people too. She patted my shoulder and left. I stared at myself in the mirror. My phone buzzed. Xavier, are you certain? This will have immediate consequences. I typed back, I'm certain. Xavier, consider it done. The debt conversion is effective as of tonight. She'll receive official notice within 48 hours. I took a screenshot of our conversation and slipped my phone back into my purse. When I returned to the ballroom, Serena was posing for photos with Judge Morrison and his wife. She caught my eye and waved me over. Iris, come meet the Morrisons. They're practically family now. I walked over, my smile perfectly composed. Congratulations, Serena. You've earned every bit of this success. Thank you. Isn't this amazing? I can't believe how perfect everything is. It really is perfect, I agreed. Absolutely perfect. She had no idea that in 48 hours, her perfect world would come crashing down. And for the first time in 5 years, that thought made me smile. The call came at 7:23 a.m. on Tuesday morning. I was getting ready for work when my phone exploded with Serena's ringtone. What the hell did you do? I held the phone away from my ear. Good morning to you too. Don't you dare play innocent with me. I just got a letter from some debt collection agency saying I owe $127,000 in student loans. This has to be a mistake. Is it? Of course it's a mistake. I don't have any student loans. You paid for everything, remember? As a gift. I sat down on my bed, surprisingly calm. Did you read the letter carefully? I don't need to read it carefully. It's obviously some kind of scam or identity theft or... Serena, read the letter. Silence. Then the sound of paper rustling. Gift of education, she read slowly. Conversion clause activated due to failure to acknowledge benefactor contribution within specified time frame. Her voice trailed off. Iris, what is this? It's exactly what it says. You can't be serious. This is some kind of joke, right? Some sick joke because you're jealous of my success? I'm not joking. But you can't just change a gift into a loan. That's not how gifts work. Actually, it is how contracts work. You signed it, Serena. You agreed to the terms. I didn't read it. You said it was just a formality. That's not my problem. The line went quiet, except for her breathing. Then, you're my sister. Yes, I am. Sisters don't do this to each other. You're right. They don't humiliate each other at graduation parties either. What are you talking about? Your speech, Serena. The one where you called me a cautionary tale? The one where you thanked everyone except the person who actually paid for your education? I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? Another long pause. Look, I'm sorry if your feelings got hurt, but this is insane. You can't destroy my life over a stupid speech. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just collecting on a debt. Iris, please. I'm supposed to start at Morrison and Associates next month. If they find out about this, they already know. What? Student loan defaults show up on background checks, especially ones this large. I heard her start to cry. They put me on administrative leave pending review. They said they need to verify my financial stability before I can start. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate? Iris, this is my career, my entire future. You should have thought about that before you signed the contract. I'm calling Mom and Dad. They'll make you stop this. Go ahead. She hung up. 20 minutes later, my phone rang again. Dad this time. Iris, what the hell is going on? Serena is hysterical. She received a debt collection notice for money she owes me. Money she owes you? That was a gift. You said it was a gift. I said it was a gift contingent on certain conditions. She didn't meet those conditions. This is ridiculous. You can't just... Dad, I can, and I did. It's all legal and binding. Legal and binding? Jesus Christ, Iris, she's your sister. Exactly. She's my sister, and she threw me under the bus in front of a room full of people. So you're going to ruin her life over hurt feelings? I'm not ruining anything. I'm asking to be repaid for money I lent her. You didn't lend it, you gave it. Read the contract, Dad. She signed it. The line went quiet. Then Mom's voice in the background. Let me talk to her. Iris. Mom's voice was ice cold. This stops now. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. You will call off this ridiculous debt collection nonsense, and you will apologize to your sister for this cruel joke. It's not a joke, Mom. Of course it's a joke. You're not the type of person who would actually do something like this. You're too nice. Maybe I'm tired of being nice. Don't be ridiculous. You're just upset because you're not getting enough attention. Well, congratulations. You have our attention now. Are you happy? Actually, yes, I am. This is pathetic, Iris, even for you. You know what's pathetic? Calling your own daughter a cautionary tale. Telling people I'm a reminder of what happens when someone doesn't apply themselves. Silence. Mrs. Henderson told me what you said at the party, Mom. Every word. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. You all did. And now you're dealing with the consequences. Iris, please. I hung up. My phone immediately started buzzing with texts. Serena, Mom, Dad, even some cousins I hadn't heard from in years. I turned it off and went to work. For the first time in 5 years, I felt free. They showed up at my apartment Thursday night. All of them. Mom, Dad, and Serena, who looked like she hadn't slept in days. We need to talk, Dad said when I opened the door. There's nothing to talk about. Iris, please. Mom pushed past me into my tiny living room. Look at this place. You're living like a college student. Don't you want better for yourself? I'm fine. You're not fine, Serena said, her voice hoarse. And neither am I. Morrison and Associates officially rescinded my job offer today. I felt a flicker of something, guilt, satisfaction, but kept my face neutral. I'm sorry to hear that. No, you're not. She collapsed onto my couch. You're happy about it. Serena, don't lie to me. You've always been jealous of me, always resented that I got the opportunities you didn't. I gave you those opportunities. You gave me money. That's all you did. You didn't earn my grades. You didn't take my exams. You didn't write my papers. You're right. I just worked 60 hours a week to pay for your chance to do all of that. Dad stepped between us. Enough, both of you. Iris, this has gone too far. Serena made a mistake at the party, but destroying her career isn't the answer. I'm not destroying anything. I'm collecting on a debt. It's not a debt. Mom's voice cracked. It was a gift between sisters. Was it a gift when she called me a cautionary tale? Was it a gift when you told your friends I was a reminder of what happens when someone doesn't apply themselves? Mom's face went white. You weren't supposed to hear that, but I did, and now I know exactly what you all think of me. We don't think. Yes, you do. You think I'm pathetic. You think I'm a failure. You think I'm someone who settled for less because I wasn't smart enough or ambitious enough to want more. That's not true, Dad said, but his voice lacked conviction. Isn't it? When's the last time any of you asked about my dreams, my goals, my life? Silence. You want to know something funny? I had a full scholarship to state. Did you know that? I was going to study journalism. I wanted to be a reporter. You never told us that, Mom whispered. I tried to, but you were too busy talking about Serena's acceptance to law school, too busy planning her future to care about mine. So you gave up your scholarship out of spite? Serena asked. I gave up my scholarship to pay for your education because I thought family was more important than my own dreams. And now you're punishing me for that choice? I'm not punishing you. I'm asking you to take responsibility for your choices. Serena stood up, her hands shaking. Fine. You want responsibility? Here it is. I thought you enjoyed being useful. I thought you liked being needed. I thought that was enough for you because you never seemed to want anything else. Because you never asked what I wanted. I was 20 years old. I was selfish and stupid and focused on my own life. But I never asked you to sacrifice everything for me. You didn't have to ask. You just expected it. And you let me. You never said no. You never set boundaries. You never told me to figure it out myself. So this is my fault? Yes. No. I don't know. She started crying. I don't know how to fix this, Iris. I don't know how to make it right. You could start by acknowledging what I did for you. I acknowledge it. I'm acknowledging it right now. Too late. The contract specified 30 days after graduation. You had your chance. At the party? You wanted me to thank you at the party? I wanted you to remember that I existed, that I mattered, that I was more than just your reliable sister who pays the bills. Mom stepped forward. Iris, honey, we know you matter. We've always known that. No, you haven't. You've known I was useful. There's a difference. My phone buzzed. A text from Delilah. Everything okay? Saw your family's cars outside. I showed the message. My friend is checking on me. You know why? Because she actually cares about my well-being. She doesn't just call when she needs something. That's not fair, Dad said. When's the last time any of you called just to see how I was doing? Not to ask for money or favors or help with something, just to talk. They looked at each other, then at the floor. That's what I thought. So what now? Serena asked. You're really going to make me pay back $127,000? That's exactly what I'm going to do. I don't have that kind of money. Then you'll have to get a job and make payments, like everyone else with student loans. This will ruin me. No, it won't. It'll teach you the value of money, and maybe, eventually, the value of family. They left without another word. I locked the door behind them and called Delilah. How do you feel? Terrible and free at the same time. That sounds about right. The headline appeared on my phone while I was eating lunch at my desk. Law graduate secret debt scandal rocks local elite. My sandwich turned to cardboard in my mouth. Holy shit, Janet from accounting said, reading over my shoulder. Isn't that your sister? The article had everything: photos from the graduation party, quotes from anonymous sources about the family drama, even a copy of the contract, with names redacted but details intact. My phone started ringing immediately. Unknown number. Iris, this is Rebecca Martinez from Channel 7 News. We'd like to interview you about the story that broke today regarding your sister's student loan situation. I hung up. It rang again. Different number. Ms. Dean, this is Tom Walsh from the City Tribune. We're running a follow-up story and would love to get your side of... I hung up again. Iris? My boss, Mr. Peterson, appeared at my desk. Can I see you in my office? I followed him, my legs feeling like jelly. Sit down. He closed the door. I just got off the phone with a reporter asking about one of my employees. Apparently, there's some family situation that's made the news. I can explain. I don't need you to explain. I need you to tell me if this is going to affect your work or bring unwanted attention to this office. I don't know. That's not the answer I was hoping for. My phone buzzed. A text from Delilah. We need to talk. Now. Can I take the rest of the day off? I asked. That's probably a good idea. I met Delilah at the coffee shop near her office. She was already there, looking guilty as hell. You leaked it, I said, sliding into the booth across from her. Yes. Why? Because you were going to get blamed anyway. At least this way, people know the whole story. Delilah, your family was already painting you as the villain. I heard your mom at the grocery store yesterday telling Mrs. Patterson that you were having some kind of breakdown and trying to extort money from Serena. She said that? Word for word. So I called my friend at the Tribune, gave him the real story. With my name attached to it? With the truth attached to it. My phone rang. Mom. Iris, what did you do? The story is everywhere. Everyone is calling us. I didn't do anything. Don't lie to me. This has your fingerprints all over it. Actually, it doesn't. I didn't talk to any reporters. Then how did they get all those details? How did they get a copy of that ridiculous contract? I don't know. This is destroying our family. Your father can't show his face at the country club. I had to cancel book club. And Serena? What about Serena? She's devastated, completely devastated. Robbie broke up with her this morning. I felt a stab of something. Guilt? Regret? Why? Because he said he couldn't be with someone who treated family the way she treated you. Can you believe that? He's taking your side. Maybe because I'm right. You're not right. You're vindictive and cruel and... I hung up. Delilah reached across the table and squeezed my hand. You okay? Robbie broke up with her. Good. He seems like the only decent one in that family. This is getting out of hand. No, it's not. It's getting real. For the first time in your life, people are seeing what really happened. My phone buzzed with a notification. Someone had tagged me on TikTok. What's this? I showed Delilah the screen. Oh, you might want to see this. I opened the app. A video with over 100,000 views. The caption read, Sister pays for law school, gets humiliated at graduation party, drops the legal hammer. Thoughts? The comments were brutal. Half the people were calling me a hero. The other half were calling me a monster. I need to respond to this, I said. Are you sure? People are making up their own version of the story. I might as well tell them what really happened. I spent the next hour recording a video in my apartment. Just me, sitting on my couch, telling the truth. About the 5 years of sacrifice. About the graduation party. About the contract. About my family's reaction. I posted it at 6 p.m. By 8 p.m., it had 1 million views. By 10 p.m., I had interview requests from 3 major networks. By midnight, #SisterDebt was trending on Twitter. I turned off my phone and went to bed, but I couldn't sleep. Outside my window, I could see a news van parked across the street. My quiet life was officially over. But for the first time in years, I felt like people were actually listening to me, even if I wasn't sure I was ready for what came next. The check arrived on a Tuesday morning 3 weeks after the story went viral. $2,847.63, Serena's first payment. I stared at it for a long time before depositing it on my phone. The memo line read, Payment 1 of 84. 7 years of payments. She'd done the math. My apartment felt different now. Reporters had stopped calling, the news vans were gone. But something fundamental had shifted. I wasn't invisible anymore. Iris? A knock at my door interrupted my thoughts. I opened it to find Robbie standing in the hallway, looking nervous. "Hi," he said. "Can we talk?" "Sure, come in." He sat on my couch, the same spot where my family had ambushed me weeks ago. I wanted to apologize. For what? For not seeing it sooner. For being part of the problem. He ran his hands through his hair. "Serena told me things about you that I just accepted. I never questioned them." "What kind of things?" "That you were happy being ordinary. That you didn't have ambitions. That you were content just existing." He looked up at me. I should have known better. Nobody's content with that. She believed it too. Maybe that made it easier. She's working at a legal aid clinic now, making $35,000 a year. That's honest work. It is. And she's different. Humbled, I guess. She asked me to give you this. He handed me an envelope. My name was written on it in Serena's handwriting. "She couldn't bring herself to come here," Robbie said, "but she wanted you to know she's trying to understand what she did wrong." I opened the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper. "Iris, I've been thinking about what you said, about how I never asked what you wanted. So I'm asking now, what do you want? Not what you think I want to hear or what will make this easier. What do you?" I folded the letter and looked at Robbie. "What about you? What do you want?" "Honestly, I want to get to know the real you, not the version your family created. The real me is pretty boring. I doubt that. The real you just took on your entire family and won." My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Hi, Iris. This is Marcus from the Tribune. I know you're not doing interviews, but I have a proposition. We're starting a weekly column about people who stand up for themselves. Interested in writing it? Good pay, flexible schedule. Let me know." I showed Robbie the message. "That's amazing," he said. "Are you going to do it?" "I don't know. I've never been a writer." "You told your story pretty well on TikTok. 12 million views and counting." "You watched it?" "Everyone watched it. You were honest, raw, real. That's rare." I looked at the text again, then at Serena's letter, then at the deposit confirmation on my phone. "Can I ask you something?" I said to Robbie. "Anything. Do you think I'm a bad person for what I did to her?" He was quiet for a moment. "I think you're a person who got tired of being taken for granted, and I think your family needed to learn that actions have consequences. Even if those consequences hurt people, especially then. Serena hurt you for 5 years. Your parents hurt you for probably longer. Nobody seemed to care about those consequences." My phone rang. Delilah. "Turn on channel 7, she said without preamble. "Why?" "Just do it." I grabbed the remote. The evening news was on. A story about student debt forgiveness programs. In related news, the anchor said, the viral story of Iris Dean and her sister's student loan debt has sparked a national conversation about family financial obligations and the hidden costs of higher education. Dean's story has resonated with thousands of people who say they've made similar sacrifices for family members without recognition or gratitude. They showed clips from my TikTok video, then cut to interviews with other people sharing their own stories. "I paid for my brother's medical school," one woman said. "He's never even thanked me." "My parents expect me to support them financially, but they still treat me like I'm worthless," said another. The hashtag #sisterdebt has become a rallying cry for people who feel taken advantage of by their families, the anchor continued. Dean herself has remained largely silent since her initial video, but sources say she's considering several media opportunities. I muted the TV and looked at Robbie. This is insane. This is justice, he said. You gave other people permission to tell their stories. I picked up my phone and started typing a response to Marcus at the Tribune. Yes, I'm interested. When do we start? The response came back immediately. How about Monday? Welcome to the team. I set the phone down and smiled. For the first time in years, I had something to look forward to that was entirely my own. So, Robbie said, what do you want, Iris? I thought about Serena's letter, about the question she'd finally asked. I want to write, I said. I want to tell stories. I want to matter. You already matter. I know, I said. Finally, I know.
The cream-colored envelope sat on my marble kitchen counter like a landmine waiting to detonate. Even from across the room, I recognized my mother's perfect calligraphy, the same writing that had adorned countless birthday cards and Christmas presents before she decided I wasn't worth the ink anymore. I'm Serena, and 10 years ago I lost everything because I trusted my family. Now they want something from me, and the irony is almost poetic. Just throw it away, Rosalie said, sipping her coffee at my breakfast bar. You don't owe them anything. I picked up the envelope, its weight substantial, expensive paper stock announcing its importance. No, I want to see what kind of mental gymnastics they're attempting this time. Inside was an invitation, gold-leafed and pristine. I read it aloud. We cordially request the honor of your presence. No, wait. I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. They're requesting the honor of my mansion. They want me to host their 50th wedding anniversary celebration. The audacity, Rosalie whispered, shaking her head. After everything they did? The memories crashed over me like a wave. Standing in the rain outside my foreclosed house, desperately dialing their number while the answering machine picked up again and again. Watching through social media as they celebrated Caleb's innovative startup with champagne in Hawaii while I slept in my car, too proud to tell anyone but Rosalie what had happened. My phone buzzed. Mother's number. I put it on speaker. Serena, darling, did you receive our invitation? Her voice dripped honey, the same tone she used when she convinced me to co-sign that mortgage. Your father and I thought it would be wonderful to celebrate in your beautiful home. You've done so well for yourself. Funny how you notice that now, I replied, keeping my voice level. 10 years ago, you couldn't even return my calls? Oh, sweetheart, ancient history. Family should forgive and forget. Besides, Caleb feels terrible about everything. I caught Rosalie's eye. She was making gagging motions. Does he? I asked. Terrible enough to pay back the $300,000 you stole from me to fund his failed app? We didn't steal anything, Mother's voice sharpened. We made a family decision. You were always so dramatic about these things. If you'd just been more supportive. Supportive? My laugh could have cut glass. I supported all of you. I worked 2 jobs while going to college. I made half the mortgage payments on that house, and you remortgaged it behind my back for Caleb's pipe dream. Your brother had a vision. Your brother had a cocaine habit and a gambling problem, but sure, let's call it a vision. Silence crackled over the line. Then, softer. Serena, please. It would mean so much to your father and me. Everyone's been asking about our anniversary plans. The Kellys, the Manns. We can't exactly tell them our daughter refused to help us celebrate. And there it was. The real reason, their precious reputation. I looked around my kitchen, all marble and chrome, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Every inch bought with my own blood, sweat, and tears. Every dollar earned while they pretended I didn't exist. You know what? Yes. Rosalie's head snapped up. Really? Mother's voice brightened. Oh, darling, I knew you'd... I'll host your party, I continued. I'll give you the celebration you deserve. After hanging up, Rosalie stared at me. Please tell me you're not actually doing this out of the goodness of your heart. I walked to my home office and opened the bottom drawer of my filing cabinet. Inside was a red folder I'd been adding to for 10 years. Bank statements, email screenshots, voicemails transferred to digital files. A photograph of me standing outside my old house the day of the foreclosure, taken by a newspaper reporter who thought I was just another casualty of the housing crisis. They want to celebrate their perfect family? I smiled, running my fingers over the folder. Then let's give everyone the full picture, in high definition. Rosalie's eyes widened as understanding dawned. Serena, what exactly are you planning? Mother always said presentation is everything. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to a contact I'd been saving for just the right moment. And I know just the videographer to help us with ours. The phone rang twice before Jordan answered. I need someone to document a very special family reunion, I said. One where the truth finally gets its moment in the spotlight. I could practically hear Rosalie grinning behind me as I added, and trust me, it's going to be one hell of a show. The string quartet can set up here, I told the event planner, gesturing to the grand foyer's curved staircase. And the catering stations will line the east wall of the ballroom. Jordan whistled as he panned his camera around the space. This place is something else. Hard to believe you built all this in 10 years. Spite is a powerful motivator, I said, checking my watch. Rosalie should be here soon with the special materials. On cue, my best friend burst through the front door, carrying a sleek laptop and several USB drives. Got everything we need, including that voicemail you never deleted. My stomach clenched at the memory. Mother's voice, syrupy sweet. Caleb really needs this, honey. Don't be so selfish. Family helps family. Jordan lowered his camera. So walk me through the plan again. Your parents think I'm just filming a standard anniversary video? Exactly. I led them into my home office. You'll capture all the usual moments, guests arriving, toasts, dancing, but you'll also get their reactions when we show them this. I pulled up a carefully edited montage on my computer, screenshots of desperate text messages I'd sent them, bank statements showing the unauthorized mortgage withdrawal, social media posts of their luxury vacations while I worked minimum wage jobs. Jesus, Jordan muttered, watching the footage. They really left you with nothing? Almost nothing. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a crumpled envelope. I kept my last pay stub from the diner. 12 hours on my feet, making $7.25 an hour, while they were posting photos from their cruise with Caleb. Rosalie squeezed my shoulder. Remember when you stayed with me? You worked 3 jobs and still found time to take online business courses. Had to. No one else was going to save me. I stood up, straightening my blazer. Now, let's talk about the menu cards. I pulled out a sample, elegant cream cardstock with gold lettering. Look closer, I said, holding it up to the light. The watermark was barely visible, a miniature reproduction of the foreclosure notice. Damn, Jordan said admiringly. That's cold. I learned from the best. I smiled thinly. Mother always said attention to detail matters. The doorbell rang. Through the security camera, I saw the florist waiting with sample arrangements. Come on, I told them. We have more staging to do. As we walked through the mansion, I pointed out strategic locations for Jordan's hidden cameras. We need to capture every reaction, every whispered comment, every moment they realize their perfect family facade is crumbling. The florist gushed over the house while setting up her samples. Such a beautiful home. Your parents must be so proud. I saw Rosalie bite back a laugh. Oh, they had nothing to do with this place, I said pleasantly. In fact, they've never even visited before? The florist's smile faltered. But they're having their anniversary party here? Ironic, isn't it? I selected a dramatic arrangement of white lilies, Mother's favorite. We'll need these on every table. And make sure they're fresh. Nothing worse than watching something beautiful decay in front of everyone's eyes. After the florist left, Jordan reviewed some test footage on his camera. The lighting in here is perfect for capturing every expression. No one will be able to hide their reactions. My phone buzzed. A text from Mother. Darling, Caleb mentioned he'd love to give a speech at the party. Wouldn't that be wonderful? I showed it to Rosalie, who rolled her eyes. Want to bet he uses it to pitch his latest business idea to your guests? Let him, I said, typing back a cheerful, "Of course." The more rope they give themselves, the better. We worked through the afternoon, perfecting every detail. Jordan set up his equipment while Rosalie helped me choose the perfect spots to plant our evidence. Years of collected proof, hidden in plain sight throughout the party. As the sun set, casting long shadows through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I stood in the ballroom where everything would unfold. Having second thoughts? Rosalie asked quietly. I thought about the night they changed the locks on my house, how I'd stood in the rain, watching through the windows as they packed up my belongings, how Mother had seen me but turned away, closing the curtains. No, I said, my voice steady. They chose their golden child 10 years ago. Now they can watch their golden anniversary turn to ash. Jordan checked his watch. I should head out. Big day tomorrow. Lots of prep work. As they left, I remained in the ballroom, imagining the scene that would unfold in just a few days. The shocked gasps, the horrified whispers, the moment my parents would realize that their perfect family portrait was about to be reframed in perfect, merciless detail. Time to come home, Mother, I whispered to the empty room. I've been waiting to welcome you properly. The string quartet's music floated through my mansion as guests arrived in their designer best. Jordan circulated with his camera, capturing the artificial warmth of family reunions while I played the perfect hostess. Darling, Mother air-kissed my cheeks, her diamond earrings catching the light. Everything looks absolutely magnificent, though perhaps the lilies are a touch aggressive for the space? Before I could respond, Father wrapped me in a stiff hug. Princess, you've outdone yourself. Always knew you had it in you to be successful. Did you? I kept my smile fixed. Funny, I don't remember that vote of confidence when I needed it. He laughed uncomfortably and drifted toward the bar. Serena, a familiar voice dripped with false enthusiasm. Still living alone in this massive house. Such a shame. I turned to face Hadley, who'd apparently aged through spite and Botox. Hadley, still living with your parents? Such a choice. She flushed. I'm between properties, actually. Speaking of which, your brother was just telling me about his exciting new venture. Was he? I spotted Caleb holding court near the champagne fountain, gesturing dramatically to a group of older men. Excuse me, I should say hello. As I approached, I caught the tail end of his pitch. Revolutionary blockchain integration with sustainable agriculture. Ground floor opportunity. Caleb, I interrupted smoothly. Wonderful to see you're still innovating. He turned, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. Sis, I was just telling these gentlemen about my new startup. Actually, since you're here, maybe we could discuss potential investment. Oh, honey, I patted his arm. I learned my lesson about investing in family the hard way. But I'm sure these nice men would love to hear about your last venture, the one with the cryptocurrency for pets. The investors exchanged glances and began to drift away. You always were jealous of my vision, Caleb hissed once they were gone. Vision? I laughed. Is that what we're calling it now? Jordan appeared with his camera. Would you mind if I got some footage of the siblings together for the anniversary video? Of course not. I pulled Caleb close, feeling him stiffen. We have so many wonderful memories to share. Perfect, Jordan said. Maybe tell me about growing up together? Oh, Caleb was always the star, I said brightly. Remember that time you needed emergency cash for your tech conference in Vegas? The one that somehow coincided with March Madness? Caleb's grip on my shoulder tightened. That's ancient history. Is it? Funny how some debts never seem to get old. Mother's voice cut through the tension. Everyone, Franklin is giving tours of Serena's lovely home. Do join him upstairs. I excused myself and followed the tour group, staying just out of sight. Jordan trailed behind, camera rolling. And of course, we helped Serena get her start, Father was saying to the assembled guests. Always believed in investing in our children's futures. The crystal champagne flute in my hand nearly cracked under my grip. Both your children seem so successful, someone commented. You must be very proud. Oh yes, Mother chimed in, though Serena was always so independent, wouldn't let us help much, not like Caleb, who understood the importance of family support. Rosalie appeared at my elbow. Need a drink? Need several. I watched the tour continue down the hall. They're rewriting history right in front of everyone. Not for long. She nodded toward Jordan, who was capturing every word. The party continued, a glittering facade of family unity. I played my part perfectly, the grateful daughter, the generous host, the successful entrepreneur sharing her good fortune. Then I overheard it. Frankly, Mother was telling her bridge club friends in a staged whisper, we were worried about Serena for a while, so angry about that house situation, when we were only trying to help both our children equally, but look how well it turned out. Sometimes tough love is the best medicine. The crystal flute finally snapped in my hand. Shit, Rosalie muttered, quickly helping me clean up the mess. You're bleeding. I watched a drop of blood stain the pristine marble floor. Good, let it stain. Let something real mark this fake celebration. Almost time, Jordan whispered as he passed, patting his equipment bag meaningfully. I looked around my mansion, now full of people who'd watched me fall and never offered a hand up. Who'd believed every lie my parents told about my selfishness, who were even now consuming my food and drink while swallowing the fiction that my success was somehow a family achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, I heard Father announce, if you'll all proceed to the ballroom, we have a special video presentation prepared. I caught Rosalie's eye and nodded. Showtime. The ballroom buzzed with anticipation as guests found their seats. Jordan stood by the projection system, giving me a subtle thumbs up. Everything was ready. Before we begin the video, Mother announced, champagne flute raised, I'd like to say a few words about family unity. I caught Rosalie rolling her eyes behind her own glass. Franklin and I have been blessed with 2 wonderful children, Mother continued, her voice thick with performative emotion. Through all life's ups and downs, we've supported each other unconditionally. My hand tightened around my fresh champagne glass. Next to me, Caleb smirked. Even when times were tough, Mother's gaze swept the room, we made sacrifices for each other. That's what real family does. Sacrifices? I couldn't help myself. Would you like to elaborate on those sacrifices, Mother? She faltered for just a moment. Well, of course, dear. Like when we helped you learn independence. A few guests chuckled. I stood up. That's an interesting way to phrase it. I moved to the front of the room. Since we're on the topic of family history, why don't we watch that video now? Wait, Caleb interrupted. I thought I was giving my speech first. Oh, you'll have your moment, brother. Trust me. Jordan dimmed the lights. The massive screen flickered to life. One moment, I addressed the crowd. While we're celebrating family unity, I overheard some confusion about how I acquired this house. Mother, Father, would you like to clarify for everyone how you helped me achieve this success? Father puffed up proudly. Well, we always encouraged your ambitions. Really? I turned to the guests. Because I have a different memory. Jordan, could you play that clip from earlier? The screen showed Father from just an hour ago. And of course, we helped Serena get her start. Always believed in investing in our children's futures. Interesting. I I paced slowly across the front of the room. Would anyone like to guess how much my parents invested in my future? The exact dollar amount? Mother stood abruptly. Serena, this isn't the time. Actually, it's exactly the time. The amount was negative $300,000. That's how much they took from me. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Now, Father attempted to laugh it off. You're making it sound so dramatic. Jordan, I called out. Play the rain footage. The screen showed a shaky cell phone video. Me, standing in a downpour outside my old house, pounding on the door. Mother's face appeared briefly in the window before the curtain closed. That was the night they changed the locks, I explained to the stunned audience, after remortgaging my house without my knowledge to fund Caleb's startup. That's a lie, Caleb shouted, jumping to his feet. Is it? Jordan, the bank statements, please? Documents filled the screen, mortgage papers, withdrawal records, transfer confirmations to Caleb Tech Ventures. Stop this at once, Mother's voice shook with rage. Why? Isn't this the family unity you wanted to celebrate? Here's another classic family moment. The screen showed Mother's social media posts, cocktails on a Hawaiian beach, tagged Jacques Family Vacation Chakra Blessed. The timestamp matched another document, my pay stub from working the night shift at a 24-hour diner. You see, I continued as the evidence mounted on screen, while I was sleeping in my car and working 3 jobs, my loving family was investing in their favorite child's dreams. And when it all fell apart, they had a very unique way of showing support. Jordan played the saved voicemail. Caleb really needs this, honey. Don't be so selfish. Family helps family. The ballroom had gone deathly quiet. Hadley's mouth hung open. Several guests were staring at their shoes. Serena, Father's voice cracked. We never meant to get caught, I finished. To have your perfect family facade crumble in front of all your friends. To face actual consequences for once. How dare you, Mother hissed. After we gave you everything, you gave me nothing, my voice finally broke. You took everything I had and gave it to him. I pointed at Caleb, who had gone pale. And then you abandoned me when I needed you most. The screen continued cycling through evidence, ignored texts, declined calls, social media posts showing their luxurious lifestyle while I rebuilt from nothing. But you're right about one thing, Mother. I lifted my glass. Family does make sacrifices. I sacrificed my trust, my home, and 10 years of my life learning that lesson. And now you get to sacrifice your reputation. Jordan's camera panned across the horrified faces of the guests. Mother's mascara had begun to run. Father seemed to have aged a decade in minutes. And Caleb was already edging toward the door. Now then, I smiled at the stunned crowd. Who's ready for the main feature? The opening montage started innocently enough. Childhood photos set to soft piano music. Me and Caleb building sandcastles. Family picnics. Christmas mornings. Oh, how precious, someone whispered. Then the music changed. A harsh electronic beat replaced the gentle piano. What's happening? Mother demanded as the screen filled with a high-resolution scan of the foreclosure notice. Just keeping it real, I said, taking center stage. Since we're celebrating history, let's not skip the important parts. Email chains populated the screen. My desperate messages. Please answer your phone. The bank is taking the house. I don't understand. How could you remortgage without telling me? Mom, Dad, I'm sleeping in my car. Please help. Each one marked read with no response. Turn it off, Father shouted at Jordan, who kept filming steadily. Can't do that, sir. Professional integrity. The screen split to show surveillance footage from my old neighborhood. Me, loading what few possessions I could fit into my beaten-up Honda. Mother and Father pulling up in their Mercedes, walking past without a glance. You recorded us? Mother's voice shook with outrage. The security cameras did. Amazing what you can request from county records. Caleb tried to bolt for the door, but Rosalie blocked his path. Stay for the best part, buddy. Your startup pitch videos are coming up. Sure enough, the screen filled with Caleb's face, younger and cocaine jittery, promising investors revolutionary tech solutions, while charts showed hundreds of thousands disappearing into his company's accounts. "This is slander," he shouted. "Actually," I corrected, "it's public record. Your bankruptcy filing was very detailed." The footage shifted to social media posts. My parents on cruise ships, at spa retreats, funding Caleb's fresh starts, while I worked double shifts. Each post time-stamped, each luxury purchase documented alongside my minimum wage deposits. "You're just jealous," Mother spat, mascara streaming down her face. "You always resented Caleb's success." "Success?" I laughed. "Jordan, show them the Vegas footage." Security camera clips from various casinos showed Caleb gambling away investor funds at high-stakes tables. Mother and father covering his markers with money that should have been paying my mortgage. "My God," Hadley breathed. "You monsters." Now, I smiled. "They're not monsters. They're just family." The screen filled with newspaper clippings. Local coverage of the housing crisis, featuring my old house. Business articles about Caleb Tech's collapse. And finally, years later, stories about my rise in real estate development. "Not one penny," I addressed the crowd. "That's how much help I got building this life." While they funded failure after failure for their precious son, I slept in my car, worked every job I could find, and taught myself business at the public library. "We did what we thought was best," Father tried weakly. "Best for who?" Rosalie shot back. "I watched her cry herself to sleep on my couch for months while you were posting about family loyalty on Facebook." The final sequence began playing, a perfect mirror of the opening montage. But instead of happy family photos, it showed the reality. Empty chairs at holidays, ignored birthday cards, years of calculated indifference while I rebuilt my life from scratch. "Happy anniversary!" I raised my glass to my shell-shocked parents. "Here's to family unity." Mother lunged for me, hand raised to slap, but Jordan caught it all on camera. "Careful," he warned. "Battery assault looks bad in court." "You've ruined everything," she sobbed. "No, Mother. You did that years ago. I just made sure everyone saw the footage." Guests began standing, gathering their things in uncomfortable silence. Some shot disgusted looks at my parents. Others wouldn't meet anyone's eye. "Wait," Caleb pleaded as his potential investors headed for the exit. "My business proposal is exactly as solid as your last one," I finished. "But don't worry, I'm sure Mom and Dad will fund it. That's what real family does, right?" Father sagged in his chair, looking ancient. "I never thought. We never meant it to go this far." "Funny." I walked to the screen, now showing that final image of me outside my foreclosed house. "That's exactly what I thought when you changed the locks." The ballroom had nearly emptied. Only my parents, Caleb, Rosalie, Jordan, and a lingering Hadley remained. "Well," I smiled at my trembling mother, "I think that's enough family history for one night." "Jordan, did you get everything?" He patted his camera. "Every second, including all the guest reactions." "Perfect." I turned to my family. "The exit is that way. Try not to steal anything on your way out, though I suppose old habits die hard." The aftermath was exactly as chaotic as I'd expected. Guests fled like rats from a sinking ship, their expensive heels clicking rapidly across my marble floors. Some paused only long enough to grab their gift bags, now ironically stuffed with USB drives containing copies of the full video presentation. "You've destroyed this family," Mother's mascara-stained face contorted with rage. "Is that what you wanted?" "Destroyed?" I laughed. "No, Mother, I just showed everyone what you already broke." Caleb charged toward me, his face red. "You stupid bitch! I had investors lined up tonight." Rosalie stepped between us. "Back off, startup boy. The only thing you had lined up was another scam." "It wasn't a scam." He turned to our parents. Tell her my business is legitimate this time." Father couldn't even look at him. He just sat there, staring at his hands, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. Oh my God, Hadley's voice cut through the tension. She was scrolling through her phone. It's already hitting social media. Someone live streamed the whole thing. What? Mother grabbed her own phone, fingers trembling. No, no, no. Karma's really embracing digital these days, isn't it? I smiled. Jordan, make sure you get this part too. You can't film this! Caleb lunged for Jordan's camera but stumbled, knocking over a champagne tower. The crystal glasses shattered across the floor, a perfect metaphor for the evening. Actually, I can, Jordan replied calmly. Your sister had everyone sign media releases at the door, standard practice for event photography. You did read what you signed, right? Caleb's face went from red to white. You planned this, all of it. For 10 years, I confirmed. Though you made it surprisingly easy, your social media trail of failures and fraud was very thorough. Mother suddenly rushed at me, hand raised. The slap echoed through the nearly empty ballroom. Feel better? I asked, touching my cheek, because that's assault on camera and I'm pressing charges. You wouldn't dare, she gasped. Try me. I learned from the best how to hurt family. Father finally stood up. Enough. Reagan, let's go. We need to think. Think? I scoffed. That's a first. He turned to me, aged eyes wet. I didn't think it would go this far. You keep saying that, I noted. But how far did you think abandoning your daughter would go? How far did you think stealing her house would go? We didn't steal, Mother began, but Hadley cut her off. Actually, Mrs. Daniels, you did. Everyone turned to look at her. My mother's a real estate attorney, remember? She looked over the original deed when I showed her the video. Serena's name was never legally removed. What you did wasn't just cruel, it was fraud. The silence that followed was deafening. Fraud? I tested the word. Jordan, did you get that confession on camera too? He nodded, still filming. Caleb grabbed Mother's arm. We need to leave, now. Before I what? I stepped closer. Before I press criminal charges? Before I sue you all for everything you've got left? Or before I send this footage to every investor and business contact in your phone? You wouldn't, he whispered. I pulled out my phone and held it up. I already did. Check your email. His phone started buzzing immediately. From the look on his face, his investors were not happy. Let's go, Father said quietly, pulling Mother toward the door. There's nothing left to say. Oh, there's plenty left to say, I called after them, but I think the video says it all better than I could. They shuffled out, a broken parade of designer clothes and destroyed pretenses. Only Hadley lingered. For what it's worth, she said, I always knew something was wrong about their story. The way they talked about you after everything. It never added up. Thanks, I replied, though you could have said something sooner. She shrugged. Would it have helped? Probably not. After she left, Rosalie hugged me tight. You okay? I touched my cheek where Mother's slap still stung. Better than okay, I feel light. Jordan lowered his camera. That's a wrap, I guess. Want me to edit together a highlight reel? Please, make sure to include Mother's assault. My lawyer will want to see that. You're really pressing charges? Rosalie asked. I looked around my empty ballroom, at the shattered champagne glasses and abandoned gift bags, at the screen still frozen on that image of me in the rain, homeless and desperate while they lived their best lives. Yes, I said firmly. It's time they learned about consequences, the hard way, just like I did. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing the next morning. News travels fast in the age of social media, and apparently a wealthy family's public implosion makes for irresistible content. Have you seen this? Rosalie sent me a link to a local news website. The headline read, Golden Anniversary Turns to Lead. Family fraud exposed at society event. Before I could respond, another call came in, my investor friend from Morocco. Serena, he said without preamble, your brother just tried to pitch me his new venture. Something about blockchain and sustainable agriculture. Let me guess, he needs startup capital? He was very persistent until I mentioned seeing certain unedited family footage. I smiled. And I told him I don't invest in people who steal from their own sisters. Neither do any of my associates. After hanging up, I opened the old box from my foreclosed house, the one I'd kept sealed for 10 years. Inside, beneath old photos and worthless papers, I found what I was looking for. A handwritten note from my grandmother, my dearest Serena. It read, "Never let them silence your truth. You're stronger than they know." My phone buzzed again. A text from Hadley. "OMG, your brother just got served with papers outside Starbucks. Someone got it on video." I clicked the link. Sure enough, there was Caleb, spluttering as a process server handed him a thick envelope. The comments were ruthless. Karma comes with receipts. Family fraud finally faces consequences. Rosalie burst through my front door without knocking. Your mother's trying to spin this on social media, says you're mentally unstable and edited the footage. Is she now? I pulled up my laptop. Jordan, you got that assault on camera from multiple angles, right? Already sent it to your lawyer, he replied via text, along with the signed media releases and unedited footage. My lawyer called next. They're trying to claim defamation, she said, sounding amused. I reminded them that truth is an absolute defense. Also, your grandmother's original house deed? They never had the legal right to remortgage your portion. We're looking at serious fraud charges. What about mother's assault? Battery charges filed this morning. The video evidence is crystal clear. I walked to my floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out over the city I'd conquered on my own. Any response from their lawyer? They're claiming emotional distress from public humiliation. I laughed. Funny how that works both ways. Another text from Hadley. Your parents just got kicked off the hospital charity board. Something about no longer reflecting community values. The doorbell rang. A courier delivered a thick manila envelope, Caleb's lawsuit threat. I added it to my grandmother's box, now repurposed for documenting their downfall. Rosalie came over with wine and takeout. You know what's crazy? People are sharing their own stories now. You're trending under Darn Family Fraud. She showed me the posts, hundreds of people sharing similar stories of family betrayal and financial abuse. Maybe some good can come from this mess, I mused. Already has. Look. She pulled up a news article about increased fraud reporting in family financial cases. You inspired people to speak up. My phone buzzed yet again. Father's number. What do you want? I answered coldly. Please, his voice cracked. We're staying with Caleb, his apartment. It's not suitable for your mother's health conditions. Sounds like a personal problem. Princess, please, don't call me that ever again. We'll make it right, he begged. Whatever you want. What I wanted was parents who wouldn't steal from me. What I wanted was a brother who saw me as more than an ATM. What I wanted was a family who'd answer their phone when their daughter was sleeping in her car. Silence. But what I'll settle for, I continued, is watching you face consequences. How's that investor meeting going, by the way? The one Caleb had scheduled for today? He hung up. Rosalie poured more wine. You okay? Better than okay. I showed her my grandmother's note. She knew. She always knew they'd try to break me. Instead, you broke their whole facade. My laptop pinged. An email from Jordan with the final edited footage. Want to watch? He asked. Post it, I replied. All of it. You sure? It's pretty raw. I thought about that scared, broken girl standing in the rain 10 years ago, how she'd rebuilt herself from nothing, turning pain into power. I'm sure, I typed. Someone else might need to see it. Someone else might need to know they're not crazy for standing up to family abuse. Posted, he confirmed minutes later. I raised my glass to my grandmother's note, now framed on my wall. Here's to unsilenced truth. Rosalie clinked her glass against mine. And to karma, served ice cold, with video evidence. The mansion felt different now. Not empty exactly, but cleansed. I walked through the ballroom where it all went down, my heels clicking on marble that no longer echoed with fake laughter and hollow promises. My phone lit up with a news alert. Local tech entrepreneur faces federal fraud charges. Caleb's mugshot stared back at me. The FBI had finally connected the dots between his failed ventures and missing investor funds. Karma really said, "Hold my beer, didn't she?" Rosalie remarked, scrolling through her own phone. Your parents' country club membership got revoked too. How tragic, I deadpanned. Whatever will Mother do without her weekly bridge game? The doorbell rang. Hadley stood there, clutching a thick folder. You need to see this. My mom found more documents about your old house. I led them to my office, where Jordan was already setting up his camera. Still documenting? I asked. People want to know how the story ends, he shrugged. Your video hit 5 million views. Hadley spread the papers across my desk. Look at these dates. They started planning to take your house months before Caleb's startup even launched. They were using you as a backup plan the whole time. My hands shook as I read the documents. They knew his business was a scam from the beginning. They knew everything, Hadley confirmed. My mom's firm handled the paperwork. She quit over it, said it was clearly fraud. My phone buzzed. Father again. What now? I answered on speaker. Your mother's in the hospital, he said quietly. The stress, her heart. Really? I scrolled through my security camera app. Because my cameras show her shopping at Nordstrom an hour ago. He hung up. Still trying to manipulate you, Rosalie observed. Old habits die hard. I picked up my grandmother's framed note. But so does the truth. Jordan's camera beeped. Speaking of truth, you've got a visitor coming up your driveway. On the security feed, I watched Mother march toward my front door, designer handbag swinging. I buzzed her in before she could ring the bell. Come to slap me again? I asked as she burst into my office. Jordan's still filming, by the way. You've destroyed everything, she spat. Our reputation, our social standing. Your fraud scheme? Hadley held up the documents. Your illegal remortgage plan? Mother's face went pale. Where did you get those? Turns out Karma keeps excellent records. I stood up. Why are you really here? She deflated slightly, sinking into a chair. We need money. The legal fees. Caleb's arrest. Your father's golf friends won't even take his calls anymore. Fascinating, I replied. Tell me, where were these concerns when I needed help? That was different. You're right, it was different. I was innocent. I had done nothing wrong except trust my family. I walked to my wall safe and pulled out an envelope. Here's your loan application rejection letter. I had it prepared weeks ago. You knew I would come asking? Mother, I knew everything you would do. I learned from the best, remember? She stood up shakily. So that's it? You'll just let your family suffer? No, I smiled. I'm letting you face consequences. There's a difference. The court seized Caleb's assets. She tried one last time. We have nowhere to go. Actually, Rosalie chimed in, I hear the extended stay motel by the highway has weekly rates. Mother left without another word, but her designer heels didn't click quite so confidently on their way out. You okay? Hadley asked after she was gone. I looked around my office, at Jordan still filming, at Rosalie and Hadley with their unwavering support, at my grandmother's note reminding me to speak my truth. I'm perfect, I replied. For the first time in 10 years, everything is exactly as it should be. My phone pinged with a final news alert. Family fraud video sparks national conversation about financial abuse. Want to know the best part? Jordan showed me his camera screen. Every time they try to spin this, Every time they play victim, every time they attempt another manipulation, it's all documented. Their lies don't work anymore. They never will again, I said firmly. Rosalie raised an eyebrow. Any regrets? I walked to my window, looking out at the city I'd built myself back up in. Somewhere out there, my parents were facing a future without their social masks. Caleb was learning that actions have consequences, and I was finally free. Just one regret, I smiled, that I didn't do this sooner. I turned back to my friends, my real family, and felt lighter than I had in years. Now who's hungry? I hear there's a great extended stay motel diner we could try. Their laughter filled my mansion, and this time the echoes felt exactly right.
The notification sound from my phone cut through the silence of my empty apartment like a knife. Another text from Mom. I didn't need to look to know what it would say. Something about difficult times and how they really needed my help right now. My name is Nora, and for the past 8 years, I've been the family ATM. I set down my lukewarm coffee and picked up the phone. Sure enough. Sweetheart, things are getting tight again. The mortgage company sent another notice. Could you maybe send a little extra this month? Just until Dad's business picks up. Love you so much. Agukso. I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. The same script, every month. Sometimes it was the mortgage, sometimes it was unexpected expenses, always urgent, always desperate, always my problem to solve. Another family emergency? I looked up to find Jessica from accounting standing by my cubicle, holding 2 cups of coffee. She'd been trying to get me to join the office happy hours for months. Something like that. I took the coffee gratefully. Thanks. You know, Nora, you look exhausted. When's the last time you did something fun? Something just for you? I laughed, but it came out hollow. Fun is a luxury I can't afford right now. Come on, 1 drink. There's this new place downtown. I can't. I was already pulling up my banking app, calculating how much I could transfer without overdrafting. I have responsibilities. Jessica's face softened. Your family's lucky to have someone like you. Lucky. Right. I sent the money, $1,200 this time, and watched my savings account dwindle further. The same account that should have been funding my own life, my own dreams, my own future. Instead, it was a lifeline I threw to people who never seemed to learn how to swim. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here I was, 28 years old, living in a studio apartment with furniture from thrift stores, eating ramen for dinner 3 nights a week, while my little sister Ria posted Instagram stories from art galleries and wine tastings. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Ria herself. OMG, Nora. Mom and Dad are planning the most amazing anniversary party next month. Wish you could be here, but I know how busy you are with work. Love you, sis. Attached was a photo of what looked like expensive floral arrangements and a catering menu. Anniversary party. With what money? I scrolled through Ria's recent posts. Designer coffee, new art supplies, a weekend trip to the mountains with her boyfriend Danny, all while I was supposedly keeping the family from losing their house. You're doing it again. I looked up. Jessica was still there, watching me with concern. Doing what? That thing where you get this look on your face like someone just told you your dog died. I locked my phone and shoved it in my drawer. I'm fine. No, you're not. And you know what? You don't have to be fine all the time. You don't have to carry everyone else's problems. Her words hit something deep in my chest, but I pushed the feeling down. I'd gotten good at that over the years. I should get back to work. Jessica nodded, but she didn't move. You know what you should do. Surprise them. Show up to this anniversary party. Let them celebrate you for once instead of just taking from you. After she left, I sat staring at my computer screen, not seeing the spreadsheets and reports. Jessica's words echoed in my head. When was the last time my family had celebrated me? When was the last time I'd felt appreciated instead of just useful? I pulled out my phone and opened the airline app before I could talk myself out of it. A flight home for next weekend, Mom and Dad's anniversary. It would cost me, but maybe it was time. Maybe it was time to see the gratitude in their faces when they realized everything I'd sacrificed for them. Maybe it was time to finally be the hero of my own story. I booked the ticket with shaking fingers, my heart pounding with something I hadn't felt in years. Anticipation. Hope. I was going to surprise them. I was going to walk through that door and finally, get the recognition I deserved. I had no idea I was walking into the biggest surprise of my life. The Uber driver pulled into my parents' driveway, and I felt my stomach drop. There, parked right in front of the house, was a brand new red convertible with a giant white bow on the hood. Nice ride, the driver said, whistling low. Someone's having a good day. I stared at the car. It had to cost at least $40,000. Maybe more. Yeah, I managed. Someone is. I paid the driver and grabbed my overnight bag, my hands shaking slightly. There had to be an explanation. Maybe it was a rental for the anniversary party. Maybe it belonged to one of Dad's business clients. The front door opened before I could knock. Nora! Mom appeared, but her smile looked forced. What are you doing here? Surprise, I said weakly. I wanted to be here for your anniversary. Oh, well, that's unexpected. She glanced back into the house nervously. We weren't really planning on... Nora! Rhea bounded out, practically glowing. She looked amazing. New haircut, designer jeans, jewelry I'd never seen before. You're just in time. Come see my graduation present. She grabbed my arm and dragged me toward the convertible. Graduation present? I repeated. Isn't she gorgeous? Dad said I deserved something special for finishing my art degree, and Danny loves it. We took it up the coast last weekend. I walked around the car like I was in a trance. The leather seats were pristine. The paint job was flawless. The price tag was probably more than I made in 6 months. How did you guys afford this? Rhea laughed. Oh, you know Dad. He's got his ways. Come on, let's go inside. Everyone's here for the party planning. The house was buzzing with activity. Caterers were setting up in the kitchen. A florist was arranging centerpieces in the dining room. Everything looked expensive. Everything looked perfect. And nobody seemed surprised to see me. Nora, honey! Dad appeared, arms spread wide. What a nice surprise! He hugged me, but it felt perfunctory, like he was going through the motions. I wanted to be here for your anniversary, I said again. Of course, of course. Well, you're just in time to see how well everything's coming together. Your mother's outdone herself this year. I looked around at the chaos of preparations. This must be costing a fortune. Dad waved his hand dismissively. Don't worry about that. We're doing just fine. But the mortgage payments? What mortgage payments? He laughed. Sweetheart, we paid that off years ago. The room seemed to tilt. What? The house has been paid off for 3 years now. Thanks to all your help, of course. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. 3 years. Oh, yes. You really saved us, Nora. All those transfers you sent, they added up to quite a nest egg. But you kept asking for money. You said you were behind on payments. Dad's smile never wavered. Well, there were other expenses. Ria's school, the renovations, this party, family investments, you know? Family investments. Exactly. And look how well it's all worked out. Ria's graduated, the house is beautiful, and we're finally able to enjoy ourselves a little. I watched Ria pose for selfies next to her new car through the window. She was laughing, carefree, radiant. I need some air, I said. Of course, dear. You look a little pale. Maybe you should rest before dinner. I walked outside and sat on the porch steps, trying to process what I'd just learned. 3 years. For 3 years, they'd been lying to me, taking my money under false pretenses while I lived like a monk, sacrificing everything. My phone buzzed. A text from Ria. OMG, look at this pic. Don't I look amazing with my new baby? Blessed Hadash Jum graduation, Hada family. The photo showed her draped across the hood of the convertible, beaming. I was still staring at the phone when I heard voices from the kitchen window above me. I can't believe she just showed up like this, Mom was saying. It's fine, Dad replied. She'll be gone by tomorrow. But what if she starts asking questions about the money? What's she going to do? She gave it to us willingly. Besides, she's finally useful for something. Ria's voice joined in. God, she looked so shocked about the car. Did you see her face? They all laughed. I sat there on the porch steps, listening to my family laugh about how they'd played me for a fool, and something cold and hard settled in my chest, useful for something. Finally, useful for something. I looked at that red convertible with its perfect bow, and for the first time in 8 years, I smiled. I waited until everyone was asleep before I started digging. The family computer was in Dad's home office, password still the same as it had been for years. Ria 2000. Of course, I pulled up the bank statements first. 8 years of transfers from my account to theirs, laid out in black and white. The amounts varied, but they were consistent. 1,200 here, 800 there, sometimes 2,000 when the emergencies were particularly dire. Total, $127,000. $127,000. I scrolled through the outgoing payments from their account. The mortgage had indeed been paid off 3 years ago, in one lump sum of $48,000. My money. But the transfers hadn't stopped. They'd kept coming, month after month, while I ate ramen and wore the same 3 work outfits on rotation. I pulled up Ria's credit card statements next. Art supplies, designer clothes, weekend trips, expensive dinners, all paid for by Mom and Dad, all funded by me. The car purchase was right there at the top. $4,500 to Premier Auto Sales just last week. I took screenshots of everything and emailed them to myself. Then I went through my old text messages, looking for the manipulation I'd been too blind to see before. Mom, 2 years ago. Honey, the furnace died and we're looking at a $5,000 repair. I know you're struggling too, but we're desperate. I remembered that one. I'd borrowed money from my 401k to help them. Mom, last Christmas. Ria's been so depressed about not being able to afford her art show entry fees. It would mean the world to her. Just $800? I'd skipped my own Christmas plans to send that money. Dad, 6 months ago. The property taxes went up again. These politicians are killing us. Could you help us out with $2,000? We'll pay you back as soon as my next contract comes through. No contract had come through. There never was a contract. I printed everything and stuffed it into a folder. The next morning, I cornered Mom in the kitchen while she was arranging flowers. "We need to talk." She looked up, startled. "Oh, good morning, sweetheart. Did you sleep well?" "I know about the mortgage." Her hands stilled on the roses. "What about it?" "It's been paid off for 3 years. You've been lying to me." Mom set down the flowers and turned to face me, her expression shifting from surprise to something harder. "Lying is a strong word, Nora." "What would you call it?" "We never lied about needing help. There are always expenses." "Like Ria's car?" "Ria deserved that car. She worked hard in school." "I worked hard too. I've been working hard for 8 years while you spent my money on luxuries." Mom's voice rose. "Your money? That money was a gift, Nora. Family helps family. Family doesn't lie to family." "We didn't lie. We just didn't tell you everything. There's a difference." I stared at her. "You literally told me you were behind on mortgage payments." "We were behind on other things." "What other things?" "The party planning, Ria's expenses, the house improvements." "None of that was what you told me the money was for." Mom threw her hands up. "Fine. You want the truth? Yes, we used your money for other things. But look around you, Nora. Look how well everything turned out. Ria's happy. The house is beautiful. We're financially stable. Isn't that what matters? What about what I wanted? What about my life?" "What about it? You have a good job. You're independent. I live in a studio apartment and eat pasta 4 nights a week." "That's your choice. Nobody forced you to live like that." I felt something snap inside me. "You guilt-tripped me into sending you money every month for 8 years. We asked for help when we needed it. You chose to give it. Based on lies. Based on love." Mom's face was flushed now. "We're your family, Nora. Everything we did was for this family. Everything you did was for Ria. Ria needed support. She's artistic. She's sensitive. And I'm what? A machine that prints money?" Mom's expression softened, but not in a way that felt genuine. "Of course not, honey. You're our responsible daughter. We're so proud of how capable you are. Capable of funding your lifestyle. Capable of taking care of the people you love." I looked at her standing there in her designer kitchen, surrounded by expensive flowers for an expensive party, wearing jewelry I'd probably paid for, and I realized something. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't even embarrassed. She thought she was entitled to my money. "I need some air," I said. "Nora, don't be dramatic. Why don't you stay for the party? Ria would love to show off her car to everyone." I walked out without answering. 20 minutes later, I was sitting across from my best friend Annalise at a coffee shop downtown. "They spent over $100,000 of your money," she said, staring at the folder I'd brought. $127,000. And they're not even sorry. They think they deserved it. Annalise leaned back in her chair. "You know you have power of attorney over their house, right?" I looked up sharply. "What? Remember when your dad had that health scare 5 years ago? You signed all those legal documents so you could handle their affairs if something happened." My heart started beating faster. I'd forgotten about that. "Well," Annalise said, sliding the folder back across the table, "maybe it's time to remind them." I spent the rest of the afternoon at the county clerk's office, pulling records. The power of attorney was still active. Broad powers, too. I could handle all their financial affairs, including taking out loans against their property. Dad had insisted on it after his minor heart episode, said it would give him peace of mind, knowing I could take care of things. Ironic, really. I called Hayden from the parking lot. My ex-boyfriend turned friend worked in commercial lending now, and if anyone could help me understand my options, it was him. Nora, this is unexpected. How are you? I need advice. Financial advice. Okay, shoot. I gave him the condensed version. The lies, the money, the power of attorney. Jesus, Nora. I'm sorry, that's incredibly messed up. I want to know what I can legally do with this power of attorney. There was a pause. What are you thinking? I'm thinking they took my money under false pretenses for 8 years. I want it back. All of it. All of it. Plus interest. Another pause. That's a lot of money, Nora. Are you sure you want to go down this road? They made their choice. Now I'm making mine. Okay, here's what you need to know. With power of attorney, you can take out a mortgage against their property. The house is worth what? Maybe $300,000. $350, according to the recent appraisal I found. So you could potentially get a loan for up to 80% of that value. $280,000, give or take. My hands were shaking. That would cover everything I gave them, plus interest. It would also saddle them with a mortgage payment they can't afford. That's not my problem anymore. Nora! They spent 8 years taking advantage of me, Hayden. 8 years of lies and manipulation while I sacrificed everything. They're not victims here. I know. I know they're not. I just want to make sure you've thought this through. I've thought about nothing else for the past 6 hours. All right. If you're serious about this, you'll need to work with a mortgage broker who can move fast. I know someone who specializes in quick closings, but once you do this, there's no going back. Good. I went back to my parents' house to grab my things. The anniversary party was in full swing. Neighbors, family, friends, everyone laughing and having a wonderful time on my dime. Rhea found me in the guest room, packing. You're leaving already, but the party just started. I have work tomorrow. Come on, Nora. Live a little. When's the last time you had fun? I looked at her, standing there, in a dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent, and something snapped. When's the last time I had fun? Maybe it was before I started funding your lifestyle. Her smile faltered. What's that supposed to mean? It means I know where my money went, Rhea. All of it. Your money? God, you're so dramatic. Mom and Dad asked for help. You gave it. That's what families do. Families don't lie to each other. Nobody lied to you. The mortgage was paid off 3 years ago. She shrugged. So, there were other expenses. Like your car? I deserved that car. I worked my ass off in school. I worked my ass off for 8 years to pay for it. Rhea's expression hardened. You know what your problem is, Nora. You're jealous. You're jealous that I'm happy and you're miserable. I'm miserable because I've been supporting a family of leeches. Leeches? Her voice rose. We're your family. Family doesn't steal from each other. We didn't steal anything. You gave us that money willingly. Based on lies. Based on need. And you know what? Even if we didn't need it, so what? You make good money. You don't have kids. You don't have a social life. What else were you going to spend it on? I stared at her. Are you serious right now? Dead serious. You act like we forced you to send money, but nobody put a gun to your head. You sent it because it made you feel important. It made you feel needed. That's not. It is, though. You love being the martyr, Nora. You love being the responsible one, the one who saves everyone. It's the only thing that makes your boring life feel meaningful. I zipped up my bag and headed for the door. Where are you going? To live my boring life. Fine, go. But don't expect us to feel guilty about accepting help from someone who is desperate to give it. I walked past the party, past the laughter, past my parents who barely looked up as I left. In the Uber to the airport, I called Hayden back. I want to do it. Nora. I want to do it. Set up the meeting. When? Tomorrow. I want this done before I lose my nerve. Okay, I'll make some calls. I hung up and stared out the window at the city lights blurring past. Rhea was wrong about one thing. This wasn't about feeling important or needed. This was about justice. And I was going to get every penny back. The mortgage broker's office smelled like coffee and desperation. Marcus, Hayden's contact, was a thin man with nervous energy who spoke in rapid-fire sentences. Power of attorney. Property value $350. You want how much? $150,000, I said. Can you make it happen? With your parents' credit score and the property value? Absolutely. 30-year fixed rate, payments will be about $900 a month. $900 a month. More than they could afford, based on what I knew about Dad's sporadic income. How fast can we close? Rush job? 3 days. I have a lender who specializes in quick turnarounds. You'll pay extra fees, but money's not an issue. Marcus grinned. I like working with decisive people. Let me make some calls. 2 hours later, I walked out with a folder full of documents and a closing date for Thursday morning. I flew back home and spent Tuesday night calculating exact figures. $127,000 in direct transfers, plus 8 years of compound interest at 5%. The total came to just over $148,000. I opened a new bank account at a different institution, somewhere my parents would never think to look. Wednesday dragged by at work. I couldn't concentrate on spreadsheets when I was about to execute the biggest financial decision of my life. You look like you're about to throw up, Jessica said, stopping by my desk. Just tired. Want to grab lunch? You've been weird all week. Can't. I have a conference call. She gave me a concerned look, but didn't push. At 3 p.m. my phone rang. Marcus. We're all set for tomorrow morning. 9 a.m. sharp. Bring photo ID and be prepared to sign about 30 documents. Will the funds be available immediately? Wire transfer, so yes. Money should hit your account by noon. Thursday morning, I sat in the title company office signing page after page. The notary, a bored-looking woman in her 50s, barely glanced at the documents. Power of attorney for Philip and Lorelei Harvey, she read aloud. You're acting on their behalf for this mortgage? That's correct. They're aware of this transaction? I met her eyes steadily. I have full legal authority to handle their financial affairs. She stamped the final page. Congratulations! You're now the proud holder of a mortgage. By noon, $150,000 sat in my new account. I drove to a quiet park and called my parents' house from my car. Mom answered on the third ring. Nora! How nice to hear from you. I was worried after you left so suddenly. I wanted to apologize for my behavior at the party. Oh, sweetheart, there's no need. There is. I was upset and I took it out on you. That wasn't fair. Well, I appreciate you calling. Your father and I were just saying how we hoped you weren't angry with us. Not angry, just processing some things. Of course, these family dynamics can be complicated. The important thing is that we love each other. Absolutely. Hey, Mom, you might want to check your mail over the next few days. There might be some financial documents coming. Financial documents? Just routine stuff. Nothing to worry about. Oh, okay. Well, thank you for calling, honey. It means a lot. Take care, Mom. I hung up and immediately drafted an email to my entire family. Hi, everyone. I've been doing some thinking since the anniversary party, and I realize I need to make some changes in my life. I'm going to be taking a step back from family financial matters going forward. I think it's time for everyone to become more self-sufficient. I won't be available for emergency loans or financial assistance anymore. I hope you understand. Love, Nora. I scheduled it to send Friday morning and closed my laptop. My phone buzzed with a text from Ria. OMG, look at this sunset from the beach. Danny surprised me with a romantic getaway. Life is so good. Shab blessed, Shaj living my best life. The photo showed her lounging in what looked like an expensive resort, cocktail in hand, that red convertible visible in the background. I stared at the image for a long moment, then typed back. Enjoy it while it lasts. She responded immediately. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Just enjoy your trip. You're being weird, Nora. I didn't respond. Friday morning arrived, grey and drizzly. I was in the middle of a budget meeting when my phone started buzzing incessantly. Dad's name flashed on the screen. Then Mom's. Then Ria's. I let them all go to voicemail. During my lunch break, I listened to the messages. Dad, voice tight with panic. Nora, we got some papers from a mortgage company. There's been some kind of mistake. Call me back immediately. Mom, crying. Honey, please call us. We don't understand what's happening. The bank says we owe money on the house, but that's impossible. Please call. Ria, furious. What the hell did you do? Mom's having a panic attack and Dad's threatening to call the police. Call me back right now. I deleted all the messages and went back to work. At 5 p.m., I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Emily, your cousin. Your parents asked me to reach out. They're really scared and confused. Can you please call them? I blocked the number. That evening, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on my tiny balcony, watching the city lights twinkle below. Somewhere, 300 miles away, my family was discovering that actions have consequences. And for the first time in 8 years, that wasn't my problem to solve. The family group chat that I'd muted for years suddenly came alive. I watched the messages pile up from my couch, eating takeout Chinese food that I'd actually ordered from somewhere decent for once, instead of the cheapest place on the app. Mom. Has anyone heard from Nora? We really need to talk to her. Ria. She's being completely unreasonable. Won't answer my calls. Dad. This is ridiculous. She needs to fix this mess immediately. Aunt Carol. What mess? What's going on? Mom. Someone took out a mortgage on our house. We think it might be identity theft. I nearly choked on my lo mein. Uncle Pete. Have you called the police? Dad. We're handling it. Just need to reach Nora first. Ria. She's probably at work. You know how she is about her precious job. I screenshotted that one. The messages continued throughout the weekend. My family spinning increasingly elaborate theories about hackers and scammers, while carefully avoiding any mention of the power of attorney I held. Monday morning brought a new development. A text from someone named Sarah. Hi, this is Sarah from your dad's office. He asked me to reach out because he can't get through to you. He says it's urgent family business. I Googled the number. It belonged to a temp agency, so Dad was having strangers call me now. I blocked that number too. Tuesday, the group chat exploded again. Mom. The bank confirmed the mortgage is real. They're saying Nora signed the papers. Aunt Carol. Nora took out a mortgage on your house? Why would she do that? Long pause. Then, Dad. There's been a misunderstanding. We are working it out privately. Rhea. She's lost her mind. Completely lost it. Uncle Pete. Maybe she needed the money for something. Medical bills. Mom. She should have just asked us for help. I laughed out loud at that one. Wednesday brought voicemails from numbers I didn't recognize. Family, friends, distant relatives, all with the same script. Your parents are worried sick. Please call them. I started a new hobby, blocking numbers. Thursday, Rhea tried a different approach. She posted on social media, dealing with some family drama right now. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who hurt you most. Feeling grateful for my real friends who actually care about me. Family isn't everything. Toxic people, blessed. The comments poured in. So sorry you're going through this. Family can be the worst. You deserve better. If only they knew. Friday afternoon, I was leaving work when I spotted a familiar figure in the lobby. Danny, Rhea's boyfriend. He approached me with his hands up, like I was a wild animal. Nora, hey, don't freak out, okay? I just want to talk. How did you find me? Rhea told me where you work. Look, I know you're angry. I'm not angry. I'm done. Your family is falling apart. Your mom hasn't stopped crying for a week. That's unfortunate. Danny's face flushed. Jesus, you're cold. These are your parents we're talking about. These are the people who stole from me for 8 years. They didn't steal anything. They asked for help and you gave it. Based on lies. So what? Families help each other out. That's what you do when you love someone. Is that what Rhea told you? Rhea told me you've always been jealous of her, that you can't stand seeing her happy. I started walking toward the parking garage. Danny followed. She said you've been weird and bitter for years, that you blame everyone else for your problems instead of taking responsibility for your own life. I stopped walking. Taking responsibility? Yeah. Like, maybe if you actually tried to have a social life or a relationship, you wouldn't be so obsessed with controlling your family's finances. Controlling their finances? That's what this is about, right? You want them to be dependent on you so you feel important. I turned to face him fully. Danny, how much do you know about Rhea's expenses? What do you mean? Her car, her clothes, her trips, her art supplies. Do you know where that money comes from? Her parents help her out sometimes. So what? Lots of parents support their kids. With what money? I don't know, man. That's not my business. It was my money, Danny. Every penny of it. For 8 years. His confident expression wavered slightly. That's not... Rhea said you just helped with emergencies. Rhea's car cost $43,000. I have the receipt. Look, even if that's true. It is true. I have 8 years of bank records. Even if it's true, that doesn't give you the right to destroy their lives. I didn't destroy anything. I just stopped being their personal ATM. You took out a mortgage on their house. I took back what was mine. Danny stared at me. You're seriously going to let them lose their home? They're not going to lose their home. They're going to pay for it, like adults. With what money? Your dad's business is barely breaking even and your mom doesn't work. Then maybe Rhea should get a job and help out. You know, take some responsibility. I got in my car and rolled down the window. Tell Rhea I said congratulations on the graduation. I hope the degree was worth it. I drove away, leaving Danny standing in the parking garage. That night, the group chat went silent. But I knew it was just the calm before the storm. The email arrived Monday morning at 6:47 a.m. Subject: We need to talk. Dad. Nora, we know what you did. We've spoken to lawyers and the bank. You used your power of attorney to steal from us. This is fraud, and we're prepared to press charges unless you fix this immediately. You have 48 hours to reverse this mortgage and return our money, or we're going to the police. We raised you better than this. Dad. I read it twice, then forwarded it to Hayden with a note. Is this legal threat legitimate? He called me within an hour. They're bluffing, he said. You had legal authority to take out that mortgage. They gave you that authority willingly. So, they can't do anything? They can try to revoke the power of attorney going forward, but they can't undo what you already did legally. Good to know. Nora, are you sure you want to keep pushing this? They sound desperate. They should have thought about that before they spent 8 years lying to me. That afternoon, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Nora, this is Mom. Her voice was barely a whisper. I'm borrowing a friend's phone because you blocked ours. Please don't hang up. I didn't say anything. Honey, I don't understand what's happening. Why are you doing this to us? You know why. Because we asked for help over the years. Because we're your family and we needed you. Because you lied to me. We never lied. The mortgage was paid off 3 years ago, Mom. 3 years, and you kept taking my money. Silence. We had other expenses. You had other wants. There's a difference. Rhea needed support. She was in school. She was struggling. I was struggling too. I've been struggling for 8 years while you spent my money on luxuries. They weren't luxuries. They were necessities. A $40,000 car is not a necessity. She needed reliable transportation. She needed a job. Mom's voice cracked. You're going to make us homeless. No, I'm going to make you responsible for your own lives. We can't afford a $900 mortgage payment. Your father's business isn't doing well, and I haven't worked in years. Then maybe it's time to figure it out. Nora, please. I'm begging you. We'll pay you back, I promise. Just don't do this. Pay me back with what money? We'll sell the car. We'll downsize. We'll do whatever it takes. You'll sell Rhea's car, if we have to. Yes. And she's okay with that? Another long pause. She'll understand. Family comes first. Does it? Because for 8 years, Rhea came first, not family. Rhea. That's not fair. What's not fair is that I lived like a pauper so she could live like a princess. You chose to help us. I chose to help you based on lies. I was shouting now, and I didn't care who heard me. You told me you were going to lose the house. You told me you couldn't make ends meet. You manipulated me into giving you my life savings while you spent it on bullshit. Language, Nora. Don't you dare police my language right now. Mom started crying. I don't know what happened to you. You used to be such a sweet, caring girl. I used to be a doormat. There's a difference. We love you. You love my money. You've never loved me. That's not true. When's the last time you called me just to see how I was doing? When's the last time you asked about my life, my job, my happiness. When's the last time you cared about anything other than what I could give you? Silence. I can't remember either, I said. Nora, please. I hung up. 2 hours later, I got an email from Ria. Subject: You're destroying our family. I can't believe you're doing this to Mom and Dad. They're old, Nora. They can't handle this stress. Mom hasn't eaten in 3 days and Dad's blood pressure is through the roof. Is this what you wanted? To make them sick with worry? I know you're angry about the money, but we never forced you to send it. You offered. You wanted to help. And now you're acting like we committed some crime by accepting help from our own daughter. You want to know the truth? Fine. Yes, we used your money for things other than the mortgage. But so what? We're a family. Families share resources. Everything we spent that money on benefited the whole family. The house improvements, my education, the car that I used to help Mom with errands and Dad with his business. You act like we stole from you, but we didn't. We invested your money in our family's future. In my future. And I'm grateful for that, even if you're not. But this mortgage thing, this is cruel. This is vindictive. This is you trying to punish us for not being grateful enough for your martyrdom. Well, congratulations, Nora. You've successfully destroyed the people who love you most. I hope it was worth it. Don't bother coming to Christmas. You're not welcome here anymore. Ria. I read the email 3 times, then started typing my response. Ria, you're right about one thing. I did want to help my family. I spent 8 years sacrificing my own happiness, my own future, my own life to help people I loved. But here's what you don't understand. Love isn't transactional. Family isn't a business arrangement where one person gives and everyone else takes. You say I'm destroying our family? Our family was destroyed the moment you all decided I was worth more as a bank account than as a person. You want to know what's cruel and vindictive? Lying to someone for 8 years, taking their money under false pretenses, laughing about how they're finally useful for something. I heard you, by the way, all of you, laughing about me on the porch that night. So, no, I won't be coming to Christmas. Not this year. Not next year. Not ever. You taught me that family is transactional. Well, congratulations. The transaction is over. Nora. I hit send and immediately blocked all their email addresses. Then I called Annalise. It's done, I said when she answered. How do you feel? I looked around my small apartment, really looked at it, at the second-hand furniture, the empty refrigerator, the stack of bills on my counter. Free, I said. For the first time in 8 years, I feel free. The moving truck pulled away from my new apartment building on a crisp October morning. 2 bedrooms, hardwood floors, a kitchen island I'd dreamed about for years. I could afford it now. This place is gorgeous, Annalise said, helping me unpack boxes in the living room. Look at this view! Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city sprawled out below us. My city now. A fresh start, 3 states away from the mess I'd left behind. I still can't believe you actually did it, she said, pulling books from a box. Most people just fantasize about getting revenge on their families. Most people don't have families like mine. My phone buzzed on the counter. A text from Jessica, my old co-worker. Saw the house listing online. Your parents' place sold fast. Everything okay? I'd been getting updates through mutual connections for weeks now. The house had gone on the market in August, sold in September. My parents were renting a small apartment across town. Ria had moved in with Danny. The red convertible was gone. You're smiling, Annalise observed. Am I? It's kind of terrifying, actually. I started arranging books on my new built-in shelves. Real books, not library copies. Another luxury I could finally afford. The doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. Through the peephole, I saw a delivery driver holding an envelope. Nora Harvey? That's me. Certified mail. I signed for it, recognizing the return address immediately. My parents' lawyer. Annalise watched me open it. What is it? They're suing me. For what? I scanned the legal document. Emotional distress, financial abuse, breach of fiduciary duty. Can they do that? They can try. I called Hayden. I was wondering when this would happen, he said after I read him the complaint. Don't worry about it. You acted within your legal rights. They gave you power of attorney. You used it. End of story. So, this is just harassment? Pretty much. They're hoping you'll settle out of guilt or fear. Don't. I won't. I forwarded the lawsuit to the lawyer I'd hired with my newfound financial freedom. Let him handle it. That evening, I was cooking dinner in my actual kitchen when my phone rang. Unknown number, but local area code. Hello? Nora, it's Emily, your cousin. I almost hung up, but curiosity won. How did you get this number? I have my ways. Look, I know you don't want to talk to your family right now, but I thought you should know. Your mom's in the hospital. My hand tightened on the phone. What happened? Panic attack. She's been having them since the house sold. She's okay, but she keeps asking for you. I'm sure she does. Nora, I know they hurt you, but she's your mother. My mother spent 8 years lying to me and stealing my money. She made mistakes. She made choices. Now she's living with the consequences. She's family. Family doesn't treat each other the way they treated me. Emily sighed. What do you want me to tell her? Tell her I hope she gets better, and tell her to stop having people call me. I hung up and blocked the number. The next morning brought another surprise, an email from an address I didn't recognize. noriaharvey2024@gmail.com. My name, spelled wrong. Nora, this is your sister. I'm using a new email because you blocked my old one. I need to talk to you. Please. Ria. I stared at the message for a long time, then typed back. No. Her response came immediately. I know you hate me. I know you think I'm spoiled and selfish. Maybe I am, but I never asked for any of this. You never asked them to stop, either. I was young. I didn't understand. You're 24 years old. You understood perfectly. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry we took your money. I'm sorry we lied. I'm sorry we made you feel like you didn't matter. You're sorry you got caught. No, I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I was so blind to what you were sacrificing for us. I started to type a response, then deleted it. Started again, deleted again. Finally, your apology doesn't change anything. I know, but I had to try. I miss you, Nora. I miss my sister. Your sister was a bank account with feelings. She doesn't exist anymore. That's not true. It is true. The person who sent you money every month, who worried about your problems, who put your needs before her own. She's gone. I killed her. Nora. Don't contact me again, Ria. I mean it. I blocked the new email address and closed my laptop. That afternoon, I did something I hadn't done in 8 years. I went shopping for myself. New clothes, new shoes, new everything. I bought art for my walls, plants for my windowsills, wine for my cabinet. I bought a life. At the checkout counter, the cashier smiled at me. Someone's having a good day. Someone's having a good life. Walking to my car, arms full of bags, I felt my phone buzz one last time. Another unknown number. Another message. This is your mother. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I need you to know something. We never meant to hurt you. We love you. We've always loved you. I know you don't believe that now, but it's true. I hope someday you can forgive us. I hope someday you can come home. Mom. I read it twice, then typed back, I am home. I deleted the message and drove to my beautiful apartment, where I cooked dinner in my beautiful kitchen and slept in my beautiful bed, surrounded by beautiful things I'd bought with my own money. The money they'd taught me was mine to spend. For the first time in years, I slept through the night without dreaming about bank transfers and family emergencies. I dreamed about the future instead, and in that future, I was finally, completely, gloriously free.
The pamphlets hit the coffee table with a soft thud that somehow felt like a gunshot. We're doing this because we love you, Alexandra. My name is Alexandra Collins, and I should have seen this coming. The perfectly arranged living room, the way everyone sat just a little too straight, the fact that my sister Jennifer had actually brushed her hair before 10 a.m. on a Saturday. All red flags I'd ignored, because some naive part of me thought my family had invited me over for brunch. What exactly is this? I asked, though the glossy brochures scattered across Mum's antique table already told the story. Financial responsibility for young adults. When family members need help. Understanding conservatorships? Jennifer leaned forward, her voice dripping with the same fake concern she'd perfected since childhood. We've been watching you, Alex. The way you sold your company so impulsively, the spending, the isolation. We're worried. Worried enough to research legal guardianship, apparently. I picked up one of the pamphlets. The cover showed a smiling family gathered around an older woman, everyone looking relieved and grateful. How thoughtful. Don't be sarcastic, Mum said, wringing her hands. This is serious. You're 35 years old and you've never had a stable relationship. You sold a perfectly good business on a whim. For $12 million. Money isn't everything, Dad said quietly from his corner chair. He hadn't looked at me once since I'd walked in. Raymond, Jennifer's husband, cleared his throat. Alexandra, we've consulted with a lawyer. A conservatorship would protect your assets while ensuring you have the support system you clearly need. I almost laughed. Raymond talking about protecting assets was rich, considering the rumours I'd heard about their mounting credit card debt. But I kept my face neutral, even let my hands shake a little as I set down the pamphlet. You want to control my money. We want to help you make better decisions, Jennifer said. Look at yourself. When's the last time you left that apartment? When's the last time you dated someone? You're spiraling and we can't just watch it happen. The thing about being the family disappointment is that you learn to read people's real motivations early. Jennifer's eyes had that gleam they got whenever she was about to get something she wanted. Raymond kept glancing at his phone like he was expecting an important call. Mum looked genuinely distressed, but she'd always been easily manipulated by Jennifer's dramatics. What does this process look like? I asked, my voice smaller than usual. Jennifer's smile widened. We've already filed the initial paperwork. There will be a hearing, some evaluations. It's really quite straightforward. You've already filed? We had to act quickly, Raymond said, for your own protection. The room went quiet, except for the ticking of Mum's grandfather clock. I could feel them all watching me, waiting for the breakdown they'd probably rehearsed responses for. Jennifer had her tissues ready. Mum had her arms positioned for a hug. Even Dad had finally looked up, his face set in that disappointed expression I knew so well. I need some air, I whispered, standing up too fast and letting myself sway slightly. Of course, sweetheart, Mum said, immediately moving toward me. This is a lot to process. We're here for you, Jennifer added, Whatever you need. I nodded, not trusting my voice, and walked toward the stairs. Behind me, I heard Jennifer's voice, lower now, but still audible. See? She can't even handle a simple conversation about her future. I made it to my childhood bedroom and closed the door before pulling out my phone. My hands weren't shaking anymore as I scrolled to Hadley's number. She picked up on the first ring. It started, I whispered into the phone, even though I could hear them talking downstairs and knew they couldn't hear me. Let's move. Are you okay? Hadley's voice was sharp with concern. I looked around the room that still had my high school debate team trophies on the shelf, the same yellow walls I'd painted when I was 16, and thought I knew everything about the world. I'm perfect, I said. They have no idea what they just started. 3 days later, I sat in Thaddeus Schmidt's law office, fidgeting with my sleeves, while Jennifer explained my concerning behaviour patterns to their attorney. She sold her company without consulting anyone, Jennifer said, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. $12 million, and she just gave up everything she'd worked for. And the spending since then? Thaddeus asked, his pen poised over a yellow legal pad. Reckless. She bought that expensive apartment, the car, all those art pieces. She's burning through money like it's nothing. I let my leg bounce anxiously, staring at the floor. I just wanted nice things for once. See? Jennifer reached over and patted my hand. She doesn't understand the value of money. She thinks it's infinite. What Jennifer didn't know was that every reckless purchase had been carefully calculated. The apartment was in a building that had appreciated 30% in 2 years. The car was a limited edition that was already worth more than I'd paid. The art was from emerging artists whose work was starting to appear in major galleries, but I kept that to myself and instead mumbled, I thought I was being smart. Of course you did, honey, Jennifer said. That's exactly why you need help. Thaddeus made notes. What about social isolation? Relationships? She hasn't dated anyone seriously in over a year, Raymond chimed in. She barely leaves her apartment except for these shopping sprees. I work from home now, I said quietly. I'm consulting. Consulting for who? Jennifer asked, You never talk about clients. I shrugged. The truth was, I didn't need to work at all. But I'd been quietly investing in startups and serving on a few boards. Nothing flashy, nothing that would make headlines, but enough to keep my mind sharp and my network intact. This is what we're talking about, Jennifer told Thaddeus. She's completely disconnected from reality. After the meeting, Jennifer insisted on driving me home. As we sat in traffic, she kept glancing at me in the rearview mirror. You know, I'm doing this because I love you, right? I know. Remember when we were kids and you'd get so upset about everything? You'd lock yourself in your room for days after Dad criticised your grades. I remembered it differently. Jennifer would tell Dad I'd cheated on tests or lied about homework, then comfort me when I got in trouble. But I just nodded. You've always been sensitive, she continued. There's nothing wrong with needing help. That evening, I met Hadley at a small cafe downtown. She slid a folder across the table. Kyson's preliminary report, she said. Your sister and Raymond are in deeper trouble than I thought. I opened the folder. Credit card statements, loan documents, mortgage papers. The numbers made my stomach drop. They owe almost $400,000, Hadley said. Credit cards, personal loans, a second mortgage they took out 6 months ago. Jesus! It gets worse. Look at the dates. I flipped through the papers. Most of the debt had been accumulated in the past year, right around the time news of my company sale had gone public. They've been living like millionaires on borrowed money, Hadley said. Designer clothes, expensive dinners, that new BMW Raymond's driving. They've been telling people they're doing well, but they're about to lose everything. So this conservatorship would give them legal control over your assets, They could pay off their debts, keep their lifestyle, and no one would ever know how close they came to bankruptcy. I closed the folder. Can you trace the shell companies holding their debt? Kyson's working on it. Why? Just curious about who they owe money to. Hadley studied my face. What are you thinking? I'm thinking that if someone were to buy that debt, they'd have a lot of leverage. Alexandra. Hypothetically, she sighed. Hypothetically, yes. Debt can be sold. The new creditor would have the same rights as the original lender. And if someone defaulted on that debt? The creditor could demand immediate payment, seize assets, destroy credit ratings. She paused. Hypothetically. I smiled for the first time in days. I love hypotheticals. This is dangerous territory. They started this war, Hadley. I'm just thinking about how to win it. My phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer. Hope you're feeling better after today. The evaluation with the psychiatrist is scheduled for Friday. Don't worry, Dr. Martinez is very understanding. I showed Hadley the message. They're moving fast, she said. So are we. I stood up. Set up a meeting with Kyson. I want to know everything about those shell companies by tomorrow. And if I can't talk you out of this? You can't. I grabbed my purse. But you can help me do it right. Sunday, dinner at Mum and Dad's felt like a performance where everyone knew their lines except me. Jennifer had made her famous lasagna. Raymond was opening wine, and I was supposed to be the unstable sister who needed saving. Alexandra, you look tired, Mum said, setting down a basket of garlic bread. Are you sleeping? Sometimes. I let my fork clatter against my plate a little too loudly. The apartment gets noisy at night. Maybe you should consider moving somewhere quieter, Jennifer suggested. Somewhere with less stimulation. Like where? Well, there are some lovely assisted living communities. I'm 35, not 75. Raymond laughed. She means places with support staff. People who can help with daily tasks, medication management, that sort of thing. I stared at him. Medication management? Dr. Martinez might recommend something to help with your anxiety, Jennifer said gently. It's nothing to be ashamed of. I haven't even met Dr. Martinez yet. But when you do, it's important to be honest about your struggles. Jennifer reached across the table and squeezed my hand. We've all noticed the changes in you. Dad cleared his throat. The important thing is that we're here for you. Are you? I pulled my hand away. Because it feels like you've already decided I'm incompetent. Nobody said incompetent, Mum said quickly. The legal papers did. The room went quiet. Jennifer's smile flickered. You read the filing? Raymond asked. Some of it. Before I got too confused by all the big words. I let my voice waver slightly. It said I was unable to manage my own affairs. That's just legal language, Jennifer said. It doesn't mean... It means exactly what it says. I stood up abruptly, knocking over my water glass. You think I'm crazy. Alexandra, sit down, Dad said. No! I let my voice crack. You all sit here talking about me like I'm not even here, planning my life, deciding what's best for me. I'm not a child. You're acting like one, Jennifer snapped, then immediately softened her tone. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. But look at yourself right now. I was breathing hard, hands shaking, water dripping off the table onto the floor. It was exactly the kind of scene they described to Dr. Martinez. I need air, I whispered, and ran outside. Through the kitchen window, I could hear Jennifer's voice. This is exactly what I'm talking about. She can't handle any kind of stress. 20 minutes later, Jennifer found me sitting on the porch swing. I brought you some tea, she said, settling beside me. Thanks. I know this is hard. Change always is. I sipped the tea. It was chamomile, the same kind Mum used to make when I had nightmares as a kid. Do you remember when I was 8 and I wanted to run away? I asked. Jennifer smiled. You packed that little suitcase with your stuffed animals and a box of crackers. You found me in the treehouse and talked me into coming home. You were scared Dad was going to send you to boarding school because of your grades. You told me families stick together no matter what. They do, Jennifer said softly. That's what this is about. I looked at her. Really looked. The designer clothes that were probably maxed out on credit cards. The expensive highlights that Raymond had probably complained about paying for. The wedding ring that was definitely bigger than what a middle manager and a part-time real estate agent could afford. Can I ask you something? Of course. Are you happy? She blinked. What kind of question is that? A simple one. Are you happy with your life? I'm happy when my family is safe and healthy. That's not what I asked. Jennifer set down her teacup. Why would you ask me that? Because you seem stressed lately. You and Raymond both. Everyone has stress, Alexandra. That's what being an adult means. Is that why you need my money? The words hung in the air between us. Jennifer's face went very still. What did you say? Nothing. I'm just confused about everything. I rubbed my temples. My head hurts. Alexandra, what did you mean about money? I don't know. I say stupid things when I'm upset. I stood up. I should go home. Wait! Jennifer grabbed my arm. What do you know? For just a second, her mask slipped completely. I saw the desperation underneath, the fear, the calculation. Then she caught herself and let go. I don't know anything, I said. That's the problem, right? I'm too stupid to know anything. You're not stupid. The legal papers say I am. They don't say that. Then what do they say, Jennifer? She opened her mouth, then closed it. We should get you home. That night, Kyson called with an update. I found the shell companies, he said. 3 different LLCs, all registered in Delaware. Very sophisticated setup. Who owns them? That's the interesting part. The trail leads back to a private equity firm that specializes in distressed debt. Meaning? Meaning someone with serious money is already circling your sister's debts like a shark. I smiled in the darkness of my apartment. How much would it cost to buy those debts? About 60 cents on the dollar, maybe less if you moved fast. Do it. Alexandra. Do it, Kyson. All of it. There was a long pause. This is going to destroy them. They're already destroyed. They just don't know it yet. Dr. Martinez had kind eyes and a voice like warm honey, which made lying to her feel particularly awful. How are you feeling about the changes in your life, Alexandra? I twisted my hands in my lap. Scared, I guess. Everything feels so big and complicated. Can you tell me about selling your company? I got overwhelmed. Running a business is hard, and I thought if I sold it, things would be easier. I let my voice get smaller. But now everyone's mad at me. Who's mad at you? My family. They think I made a mistake. Dr. Martinez made a note. Do you think you made a mistake? I shrugged. I don't know anymore. Maybe I should have asked for help first. What kind of help? I don't know. Jennifer's always been better at important decisions. For 45 minutes, I played the part of someone who genuinely doubted herself. It wasn't entirely acting. There was a part of me that had always wondered if Jennifer really was the smarter sister, the one who made better choices. I'd like to see you again next week, Dr. Martinez said as our session ended. Okay, should I bring Jennifer? She knows me better than anyone. Let's start with just you for now. Outside the office, Jennifer was waiting in her car. She rolled down the window as I approached. How did it go? Fine, I think. She was nice. What did you talk about? The company sale, my feelings. I I got into the passenger seat. She wants to see me again next week. That's good. Therapy takes time. As Jennifer drove, I noticed her hands gripping the steering wheel tighter than necessary. Can I ask you something? I said. Sure. If the conservatorship goes through, what happens to my apartment? What do you mean? Like, would I have to move? Would someone else decide where I live? Jennifer was quiet for a moment. We'd make sure you're somewhere safe and comfortable. But I love my apartment. I know, but it might be too much for you to handle. The maintenance, the expenses. Could you help me with the paperwork instead? For the apartment stuff? What kind of paperwork? I don't know. There are always forms and things. The building management sends me stuff I don't understand. Jennifer's grip on the steering wheel relaxed slightly. Of course I can help. What do you need? There's a stack of papers on my kitchen counter. Could you look at them this week? Tell me what's important. Absolutely. That evening, I spread the carefully selected documents across my kitchen counter. Property tax assessments, insurance forms, building maintenance notices, all legitimate paperwork, but nothing sensitive. Mixed in were a few investment statements showing modest returns, the kind of thing that would make Jennifer think I was being conservative with my money. What she wouldn't see were the real investment accounts, the ones Hadley managed through a different firm, the ones that had just purchased $400,000 in distressed debt. My phone rang. Kyson. It's done, he said. As of this afternoon, you own every penny of debt that Jennifer and Raymond owe. All of it? Credit cards, personal loans, the second mortgage, everything. The previous creditors were happy to sell. They were getting nervous about collection. What's the timeline? The original payment schedules are still in effect, but as the new creditor, you have the right to call in the debts at any time. And if they can't pay? Asset seizure, credit destruction, potential bankruptcy. The usual consequences of defaulting on $400,000. I walked to my window and looked out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Jennifer was probably going through my paperwork, looking for evidence of poor financial management. She had no idea that I now held her entire financial future in my hands. There's something else, Kyson said. I found evidence that Raymond's been intercepting your mail. What? Building security footage from 3 weeks ago. He's got a key to your mailbox and he's been taking things out before you get them. That's federal mail tampering. Exactly. Hadley thinks it could be useful in court. The next morning, Jennifer called bright and early. I looked at your paperwork, she said. There are some things we need to discuss. Is it bad? Not bad, just complicated. Can I come over? Sure. An hour later, Jennifer sat at my kitchen table with the papers spread out in front of her. Your property taxes are going up, she said, and this insurance renewal looks expensive. How expensive? Maybe we should look at downsizing. Something smaller, more manageable. I like it here. I know, but honey, you're spending almost $8,000 a month just on housing costs. That's not sustainable. I let my eyes widen. $8,000? Between the mortgage, taxes, insurance, and maintenance fees, yes. That seems like a lot. It is a lot for someone in your situation. What situation? Jennifer reached across and took my hand. Someone who needs to be more careful with money. But I have lots of money. You have money now, but if you keep spending like this, it won't last forever. I nodded slowly, like this was a revelation. Maybe you're right. I usually am, Jennifer said with a smile. That's why you need to trust me. I do trust you. Good. Because I'm going to help you make some changes. As she gathered up the papers, I noticed her hands were shaking slightly. The stress of her own financial situation was starting to show. Jennifer? Yes? Are you okay? You seem worried about something. Her smile faltered for just a second. I'm fine, just concerned about you. Are you sure? Because if you ever needed help with anything— I don't need help, Alexandra. You do. After she left, I called Hadley. She took the bait, I said. She's already planning to move me somewhere cheaper. And the mail tampering? We'll save that for court. Let her think she's winning for now. This is getting dangerous, Alexandra. If she finds out what you're really doing— She won't. She's too busy planning my future to notice I'm planning hers. The courtroom smelled like old wood and broken dreams. I sat between Hadley and a court-appointed advocate, trying to look small and overwhelmed while Jennifer's legal team presented their case. Your Honour, Thaddeus said, adjusting his glasses, the petitioners have documented a clear pattern of erratic behaviour and poor financial judgment. Judge Morrison, a woman in her 60s with steel grey hair, looked unimpressed by the theatrics, but listened carefully. Ms. Jennifer Ray, please take the stand. Jennifer walked to the witness box like she was accepting an award. She'd chosen her outfit carefully. A conservative navy dress that screamed, "Responsible older sister. Can you describe your sister's behaviour over the past year?" Thaddeus asked. It's been heartbreaking to watch, Jennifer said, her voice catching slightly. After she sold her company, she became increasingly isolated. She stopped returning calls, stopped seeing friends. What about her financial decisions? Reckless. She bought an expensive apartment without consulting anyone, spent thousands on art and furniture. When I tried to discuss budgeting with her, she became defensive and angry. Can you give the court a specific example? Jennifer dabbed at her eyes. Last month, I found her crying in her apartment because she couldn't understand her property tax bill. She asked me to help with her paperwork because she said the numbers were too confusing. I kept my face neutral, but inside I was impressed. She'd taken my bait perfectly. In your opinion, is your sister capable of managing her financial affairs? I love Alexandra deeply, but no, she needs help and she's too proud to ask for it. Hadley leaned over and whispered, "She's good." "Wait for it," I whispered back. Thaddeus called Raymond next. He painted a picture of a concerned brother-in-law who'd watched me spiral into isolation and poor decision-making. "She seems to live in a fantasy world," Raymond said. "She talks about consulting work, but we've never seen evidence of any clients. She claims to be making investments, but she can't explain what she's invested in. Have you observed any other concerning behaviours?" "She's paranoid. She thinks people are watching her, following her. Last week, she accused me of going through her mail." Judge Morrison made a note. "Did you go through her mail?" Raymond looked shocked. "Of course not, Your Honour. That would be illegal." When it was our turn, Hadley stood up slowly. "Your Honour, I'd like to call Kyson Watson to the stand." Thaddeus looked confused. "Objection. This witness wasn't on the list." "He's a rebuttal witness, Your Honour. We only discovered the need for his testimony yesterday." "I'll allow it." Kyson walked to the stand carrying a thick folder. He looked like what he was, a forensic accountant who'd spent his career following money trails. "Mr. Watson, what is your profession?" "I am a certified public accountant specialising in forensic financial analysis." "Did you conduct an investigation into the financial circumstances surrounding this case?" "I did." "What did you find?" Kyson opened his folder. "I found significant discrepancies in the financial disclosures submitted by the petitioners." Thaddeus shot to his feet. "Objection! The petitioners' finances aren't relevant to—" "Your Honour," Hadley interrupted, "the petitioners are asking for control over substantial assets. Their own financial stability is absolutely relevant to their fitness as conservators." Judge Morrison nodded. "Continue, Mr. Watson. Jennifer Ray and Raymond Ray currently owe approximately $400,000 in unsecured debt. This debt was accumulated primarily in the past 18 months, coinciding with public reports of Ms. Alexandra's business sale. The courtroom went dead silent. I could see Jennifer's face going pale. Furthermore, Kyson continued, they misrepresented their income on the conservatorship application. Mr. Ray claimed an annual income of $85,000, but his actual income last year was $42,000. Objection! Thaddeus was on his feet again. This is character assassination. It's fraud, Hadley said calmly. They lied on legal documents submitted to this court. Judge Morrison's expression had shifted from neutral to stern. Mr. Watson, do you have documentation of these claims? Yes, Your Honour. Kyson handed a stack of papers to the bailiff. Bank statements, credit reports, tax returns, and loan applications. I watched Jennifer whisper frantically to Thaddeus. Raymond had gone completely white. Your Honour, Thaddeus said, we request a brief recess to review these documents. Denied. Mr. Watson, please continue. The debt is currently held by a private investment firm that specialises in distressed assets. Based on the payment history, the Rays are approximately 90 days behind on most accounts. What are the typical consequences when someone defaults on this level of debt? Asset seizure, credit destruction, potential bankruptcy proceedings? Jennifer made a small sound, almost like a whimper. Mr. Watson, in your professional opinion, are individuals facing imminent financial ruin suitable candidates to manage someone else's assets? Absolutely not. They have clear financial incentives that could compromise their judgment. Hadley turned to the judge. Your Honour, I have additional evidence regarding illegal interference with Ms. Alexandra's mail, but I believe we've heard enough to demonstrate that this conservatorship petition is not filed in good faith. Judge Morrison looked at the papers in front of her, then at Jennifer and Raymond, then at me. I'm calling a 30-minute recess. When we return, I want to hear from Ms. Alexandra herself. As the courtroom emptied, Jennifer rushed over to me. How did you know? She hissed. I looked up at her with wide, innocent eyes. Know what? Don't play dumb, Alexandra. I thought I was too dumb to play anything else. Her face crumpled. You don't understand what you've done. I haven't done anything, I said softly. But apparently you have. Hadley put her hand on my shoulder. Time to go, Alexandra. As we walked toward the hallway, I heard Raymond's voice behind us. $400,000, Jennifer? How the hell did she find out about $400,000? I smiled. They still had no idea I owned every penny of it. When court resumed, Hadley stood and addressed Judge Morrison with the confidence of someone holding all the cards. Your Honour, I'd like to present additional evidence regarding the scope of financial deception in this case. She nodded to Kyson, who wheeled in a projector and laptop. What you're about to see, Hadley continued, is a complete forensic audit of the petitioner's financial activities over the past 2 years. The first slide showed a timeline. Jennifer and Raymond's spending had skyrocketed immediately after news of my company sale broke. In March of last year, when Ms. Alexandra's business sale was announced, the Rays' monthly expenses jumped from $4,000 to $12,000, Kyson explained. New car lease, designer clothing purchases, expensive dinners, a country club membership. How are they funding this lifestyle? Judge Morrison asked. Credit cards, personal loans, and a second mortgage on their home. The next slide showed a web of debt. They told lenders they were expecting a significant inheritance. Jennifer shot to her feet. That's not... Sit down, Thaddeus hissed, pulling her back into her chair. Furthermore, Kyson continued, they used Ms. Alexandra's name and business success to secure several of these loans, implying they had access to her assets. The slides kept coming. Bank statements showing overdraft fees, credit card statements with minimum payments missed, loan applications with inflated income figures. This is a systematic pattern of fraud, Hadley said. They've been living off borrowed money while planning to use a conservatorship to access Ms. Alexandra's assets to cover their debts. Your Honour, Thaddeus stood up. Even if the petitioners have financial difficulties, that doesn't negate their concerns about Ms. Alexandra's mental state. Actually, it does, Hadley replied, because their concerns are fabricated. She clicked to the next slide. Security camera footage from my apartment building. This is Raymond Ray accessing Ms. Alexandra's mailbox 3 weeks ago, and here, and here. 3 different timestamps, 3 different instances of Raymond rifling through my mail. Federal mail tampering, Judge Morrison said grimly. They were intercepting financial documents, medical correspondence, and legal notices, Hadley explained. Then, using the information to build their case for incompetency. Raymond was sweating now, loosening his tie. But the most damning evidence, Hadley continued, is this recorded conversation from last Tuesday. My heart skipped. I hadn't known about any recording. Miss Alexandra, with our advice, began documenting her interactions with her family. This is Jennifer Ray speaking to her husband outside the courthouse after their initial filing. Jennifer's voice filled the courtroom, tinny but clear. Once we get control of her accounts, we pay off the credit cards first, then the second mortgage. We can make it look like we're investing her money conservatively. Raymond's voice. What if she fights it? She won't. She's always been weak. She'll probably be grateful someone else is making the decisions. The silence in the courtroom was deafening. Jennifer looked like she might vomit. Your Honour, Hadley said, this conservatorship petition isn't about protecting Ms. Alexandra. It's about stealing from her. Judge Morrison turned to Thaddeus. Do you have any response to these allegations? Thaddeus looked at his clients, then back at the judge. Your Honour, I was not aware of the full scope of my client's financial situation when I agreed to represent them. Are you withdrawing from the case? I am requesting permission to do so, yes. Jennifer stood up, ignoring Thaddeus's attempts to stop her. You don't understand, she said to the judge. She's not well. She sold her company for no reason. She isolates herself. She asked me to help with her paperwork because she couldn't understand it. Ms. Ray, please, sit down. She's manipulating all of you. She's always been manipulative ever since we were children. She makes people feel sorry for her and then she... Ms. Ray! Judge Morrison's voice cut through the courtroom like a blade. Sit down immediately or I will hold you in contempt. Jennifer collapsed into her chair, tears streaming down her face. Your Honour, Hadley said quietly, I believe it's time for Ms. Alexandra to speak for herself. Judge Morrison looked at me. Ms. Alexandra, are you prepared to testify on your own behalf? I stood up slowly, smoothing down my skirt. For a moment, I let myself look uncertain, vulnerable. Yes, Your Honour, I think it's time everyone heard the truth. As I walked to the witness stand, I could feel every eye in the courtroom on me. Jennifer was still crying. Raymond looked like he was planning his escape route. Mum and Dad, who had been silent through the entire proceeding, looked shell-shocked. I placed my hand on the Bible and swore to tell the truth. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd been lying to my family for weeks, but now, finally, I was going to be completely honest. Ms. Alexandra, Hadley began, are you mentally incompetent? No. Are you unable to manage your own financial affairs? No. Did you ask your sister to help with paperwork because you were confused? I looked directly at Jennifer. No. I asked her to help because I wanted to see what she would do with access to my financial information. Jennifer's face went white. And what did she do? She tried to convince me to sell my apartment and move somewhere cheaper. She told me I was spending too much money and needed someone to make better decisions for me. Were you spending too much money? No. My housing costs are less than 8% of my annual income. That's considered very conservative. Judge Morrison leaned forward. Ms. Alexandra, do you have something you'd like to tell this court? I smiled. Yes, Your Honour. I'd like to tell them about the shell companies. Your Honour, I said, settling into the witness chair. 3 weeks ago, I discovered that my sister and her husband owed $400,000 to various creditors. Yesterday, I purchased all of that debt. The courtroom erupted. Jennifer screamed, "What?" so loudly that Judge Morrison had to bang her gavel. Order! Order in this courtroom! Ms. Alexandra, Hadley continued once the noise died down, can you explain how you were able to make this purchase? I liquidated some investments and worked through a private equity firm that specializes in distressed debt. It's a common business practice. Jennifer was hyperventilating. Raymond had his head in his hands. What does this mean, in practical terms? Judge Morrison asked. It means I am now Jennifer and Raymond's primary creditor. They owe me $400,000, and based on their payment history, they're in default. You can't do this! Jennifer shouted, jumping to her feet. This is insane! This proves you're not mentally stable. Actually, I said calmly, it proves I understand business better than you thought. Judge Morrison looked fascinated despite herself. Ms. Alexandra, why did you purchase this debt? Because I wanted to understand why my family suddenly decided I was incompetent. The timing seemed suspicious. Right after they accumulated massive debts, they filed for conservatorship over someone with substantial assets. So this was, what? A test? It was due diligence. I needed to know if their concern was genuine or if they had ulterior motives. Hadley stepped forward. Your Honour, I'd like to present evidence of Ms. Alexandra's actual financial competence. She handed a folder to the bailiff. These are Ms. Alexandra's investment records for the past year. Since selling her company, she has increased her net worth by 37% through strategic investments. 37%? Judge Morrison flipped through the documents. She's been quietly investing in startups, serving on corporate boards, and managing a diversified portfolio. Her reckless spending on art has already appreciated in value by over $200,000. The apartment purchase? In a building that's appreciated 30% since she bought it. She could sell tomorrow and make a significant profit. Jennifer was shaking her head frantically. No, no, no! She asked me to help with her paperwork. She said she was confused. I said I needed help understanding some documents, I corrected. I never said I was confused. I wanted to see what you would do with access to my financial information. You manipulated me. I gave you an opportunity to be honest. You chose to use that information to build a case against my competency. Judge Morrison set down the papers. Ms. Alexandra, let me understand this correctly. You suspected your family's motives, so you conducted your own investigation? Yes, Your Honour. And during this investigation, you discovered they had significant debts? Yes. So, you purchased those debts? Yes. Why? I looked at Jennifer, who was crying again, then at Raymond, who looked like he might pass out. Because I wanted them to understand what it feels like to have someone else control your financial future. The courtroom was dead silent. Your Honour, I continued, they filed this petition claiming I couldn't manage my own money. But they've been living beyond their means for over a year, lying to creditors, tampering with my mail, and planning to use a conservatorship to steal from me. Who exactly is financially irresponsible here? Judge Morrison turned to Jennifer and Raymond. Do you have anything to say in response to these allegations? Thaddeus stood up. Your Honour, my former clients declined to comment on the advice of counsel. Former clients? I'm withdrawing from this case effective immediately. Jennifer stood up, ignoring Thaddeus completely. You want to destroy us, she said to me. You've always been jealous that I was the successful one, the one everyone respected. Successful? I laughed. Jennifer, you're $400,000 in debt. You've been living a lie for over a year. At least I have a real life. A husband, a home, respect in the community. Built on borrowed money and lies. You think you're so smart, but you're alone. You'll always be alone because no one can stand being around you. That may be true, I said quietly, but at least I'm not a fraud. Jennifer lunged toward me, but Raymond caught her arm. Judge Morrison banged her gavel hard. That's enough. Ms. Ray, sit down immediately. Your Honour, Hadley said, I believe we've heard enough testimony to make a decision. Judge Morrison nodded. This conservatorship petition is denied with prejudice. Furthermore, I am referring this matter to the District Attorney's Office for investigation of mail tampering, fraud and perjury. She looked directly at Jennifer and Raymond. You have 48 hours to retain new counsel. I suggest you use that time wisely. As the judge left the courtroom, Jennifer turned to me one last time. I hope you're happy, she whispered. You've destroyed everything. No, I said, standing up and gathering my purse. You destroyed everything. I just made sure everyone could see it. I walked past her toward the exit where Hadley was waiting. How do you feel? She asked. I looked back at Jennifer, who was sobbing in Raymond's arms, then at my parents, who looked like they'd aged 10 years in the past hour. Like I won, I said, and like I lost everything that mattered. The phone started ringing before I even got home from court. I let it go to voicemail while I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on my couch staring out at the city. The first message was from a reporter. The second was from Jennifer sobbing into the phone. The third was from my cousin Jolie. Alex, I just heard what happened. Call me. I called her back. Jesus Christ, Alexandra, the whole family is losing their minds. I imagine they are. Your mum called me crying. She said Jennifer and Raymond might lose their house. They might? And you're okay with that? I took a sip of wine. They were okay with stealing from me. This is nuclear, Alex. You know that, right? There's no coming back from this. There was no coming back the moment they filed those papers. Jolie was quiet for a moment. What happens now? Now they figure out how to pay me $400,000 or they lose everything. Will you really do it? Foreclose on them? I stared out the window. I don't know. That evening, my parents showed up at my door. Dad looked older than I'd ever seen him. Mum's eyes were red from crying. Can we come in? Dad asked. I stepped aside and let them into my living room. Mum sat on the edge of my couch like she was afraid to get comfortable. We need to talk about Jennifer, she said. No, we don't. She made mistakes, but she's still your sister. She tried to have me declared mentally incompetent so she could steal my money. She was desperate, Dad said quietly. People do stupid things when they're desperate. Stupid things like tampering with federal mail, like lying on legal documents, like trying to destroy my reputation. Mum started crying again. She's going to lose everything. She already lost everything. She just didn't know it yet. You could forgive the debt, Dad said. You have more money than you could ever spend. I laughed, but there was no humour in it. You want me to give her $400,000 after what she did? We want you to be the bigger person. I was the bigger person for 35 years. I was the bigger person every time she took credit for my ideas, every time she made me feel stupid, every time you both chose her over me. That's not fair, Mum said. None of this is fair, but it's justice. They left without saying goodbye. The next morning, Raymond called. Alexandra, please, we need to talk. Talk. Not over the phone. Can we meet? Why would I do that? Because we're family. Family doesn't try to steal from each other, Raymond. We weren't trying to steal. We were trying to help. Help yourselves. Please, just give us a chance to explain. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet them at a coffee shop downtown. Jennifer looked like she hadn't slept in days. Raymond kept checking his phone like he was expecting a miracle. We're sorry, Jennifer said as soon as I sat down. We made terrible decisions, but we never meant to hurt you. You filed legal papers claiming I was mentally incompetent. We thought you were having some kind of breakdown after selling the company. Because I bought nice things with my own money. Because you stopped talking to us. Because you seemed lost. I wasn't lost. I was finally free. Raymond leaned forward. What do you want from us? I want you to understand what you did. You didn't just try to steal my money. You tried to steal my autonomy, my dignity, my right to make my own choices. We know, Jennifer whispered. We know, and we're sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. What would fix it? She asked. I looked at my sister, really looked at her. The designer clothes that were probably going back to the store, the expensive highlights that were growing out, the wedding ring she kept twisting around her finger. Nothing, I said finally. Some things can't be fixed. I stood up to leave, but Jennifer grabbed my arm. I was jealous, she said. I've always been jealous of you. You're smarter than me, braver than me. You built something amazing, and I just married well and pretended that was enough. Let go of me. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm asking anyway. I looked down at her hand on my arm, then at her face. For a moment, I saw the sister who used to braid my hair and tell me stories when I couldn't sleep. I'll restructure the debt, I said quietly. Payment plan over 10 years, no interest. Jennifer's face crumpled with relief. Thank you. But we're done. No more family dinners, no more holidays, no more pretending we're something we're not. Alexandra, we're done, Jennifer. I walked out of the coffee shop and didn't look back. That evening, I found a letter slipped under my door. Jolie's handwriting. Alex, I know you're hurting and I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But don't let their betrayal turn you into someone you're not. You won this battle, but don't lose yourself in the process. Maybe someday we can build something better from the ashes. Until then, use your freedom well. Jay. I folded the letter and put it in my desk drawer. Then I opened my laptop and started researching charities that helped people escape financial abuse. If I was going to be alone, I might as well make it count for something.